Elf, I am the protagonist template. Invincible Chapter 101-120. Chapter 101. The Last Light. Entrust. Bud. N. For full order. Far away in the ultimate space, an alien plane in the Alola region. The ultimate metropolis. Empty, dark and desolate all over the four fields, Liao is uninhabited, like a dead city. But from the architectural style of science fiction, it can be seen that the technological level of this city is probably not low. And in the very center of this sci-fi city, there is a tower that rises straight into the sky. Below is the circular column. And the top of the tower opens like an umbrella stand, almost completely covering the huge arena in the center of the city. This is the iconic building in the Ultra Metropolis, the Ultra Metropolis Tower. Also, the place where the god is imprisoned. And at this moment, inside the building at the top of the umbrella-shaped tower, the sleeping being encapsulated in the huge translucent black crystal, suddenly opened, like a painted prism eye. Gay. Like a whistle, an indescribable roar suddenly resounded. And then, crack, crack, the translucent black crystal was cracked all over, as if it were about to collapse at any moment. But, after all, it's just like having lost most of her power, Necrozma, who is sealed in it, is being drawn into power by this strange crystal every moment. The more you struggle, the faster you will be absorbed. In other words, Necrozma is bound by his own power. The crystals are constantly collapsing and breaking apart, but in the same way, they are also rapidly absorbing Necrozma's power to heal and regenerate. I want to break this black crystal seal, unless Necrozma takes back the power and light, turns into the god of radiance, and destroys it with divine power beyond the limit. Otherwise, the only way is to break this path from the outside. And it must be the same source of power. My family of O2, go look for my descendants. Deep overlapping sounds of tyranny and pain echoed in the tower. Next second, click and click. In a short burst of sound, the dark crystal finally cracked a slit, and then, a painted fragment with a little glow shot out from it. It turned into a stream of light, and flew towards the wilderness outside the ultimate metropolis. I hope I will not pay by mistake again. This is my last light. The sound fades away. Necrozma's breath also plummeted as if he had been severely injured, and soon disappeared. The translucent spar gradually healed and sealed it again. In the tower, it fell into piece. Just like a specimen, a dark figure trapped and imprisoned in the crystal. Swish swish, shimmering painted fragments one by one passed through wilderness, sand, dense forest, power plant. Finally, they landed slowly in a ring-shaped canyon and landed on a broken square altar in the middle of the canyon. Invisible fluctuations spread out along with the rush of invisible ons, and suddenly awakened the dormant existence in the canyon. There was a slightly shrill sound, and a batwing-like beast under the altar slowly approached the altar. Look. Instantly excited, moved, up. I saw it slightly closed its eyes and touched its forehead to the painted fragments, and for a moment, it made a fierce and sharp cry towards the valley. Next second, boom, countless purple petite figures gathered from all directions. The painted shards cast a faint light on the small purple figures as if they were examining them. Soon, this ray of light stayed on the outermost one, the body of a purple figure. Ah! The bat-winged bee-like beast screeched again, and a group of petite purple figures moved out of the way, causing the selected little beast to fly forward. In an instant, the splendid light enveloped the little beast, and then, the painted fragment also converged and fell into the arms of this little purple beast. Tilda. After a brief exchange, the little purple beast nodded to the bat-winged bee-like beast, took a deep breath, turned his body upside down, and slowly rotated in place. The bat-winged bee-like beast waved its hand. A group of petite figures flew away immediately, leaving the distance for the purple beast holding the painted fragments. Immediately after, bloomed with the colored fragments one by one, and in the void, a gorgeous hole was pulled open a little bit with difficulty. They. The little purple beast that was prepared early in the morning snorted loudly, and the tube-shaped poisonous needle above its head slammed out a dense purple venom, and it also used this recoil force to rush into the already close quarters. In the void caverns that begin to close. Elf World, Wuzhong area. Feiyan City. Northern suburbs. Above a dense forest. Beiyi tilde. A small, purple-looking beast that looked a little like a humanoid child was squeezed out of a twisted void for a moment. It fell nearly halfway at a rapid speed, but suddenly stopped in mid-air, with its head down and its tail spinning upwards. Made a giggling sound similar to that of a human child. But then, feeling the vibration and pulling sensation in his arms, the little beast's expression suddenly tightened, and just as it was about to take off, there was suddenly a cute female voice from below. Oh, wait, that, never seen, before. A girl with two red-brown ponytails pulled out from two pairs of meatball heads and ran quickly. The eyes twinkled with star eyes. Holding up a red and white pokeball, he asked excitedly, that one, my name is May. Are you willing to play against me? I want to take you as my partner and go on a trip together. The little purple beast obviously didn't understand what the girl was trying to convey. But it doesn't even recognize it. After descending curiously, he circled around Mei for several times, and then patted the pokeball in Mei's hand with an inquiring face. An unfortunate one. Just hit the button on the pokeball. Immediately, the red light rose, wrapping the little beast. Seeing that the little beast was about to be put into the ball, a burst of light flashes of painted colors flashed, and the little beast broke free. Next second, the pokeball in Yai's hand suddenly shattered. Yai was stunned for a moment, and then, the little purple beast suddenly pointed at Yai's babble accusation. Immediately afterwards, with a twist of the body, the purple venom of the big tent rushed towards the girl. Vine tilde. A small chirping sounded, a small green snake jumped up at the foot of Yai's feet, two vine whips were woven in an instant, and after it was completely wrapped around its snake tail, it suddenly sweep away with one blow, and disperse the venom. To be frank, if Baizi saw the use of this vine whip skill, he would have to endure it. No, keep calling him okay. In particular, this is the self-action when the trainer has not issued an order, which is even more excellent. Vine. When the little purple beast saw this, the needle, thorn on the top of its head suddenly burst into light, and the cute little snake on the opposite side showed no signs of weakness. Wait. Mei, who was a little dazed by the changes in the field, reacted at this time, and hurried forward, picked up the little green snake and said, Ting snake, there it is. And who, just now it's all a misunderstanding. Don't fight, okay. As he said, he embraced the rattan snake and bowed to the purple beast. Tang snake, who was suffocated to death, stretched out his head with difficulty, couldn't help but rolled his eyes. It's a fight, okay. The other party also attacked you. So defenseless, really. Helpless in my heart, but Tang snake still stared at the purple beast on the opposite side for the first time. At the same time, the two vine whips also quietly extended back, tying the branches of the two trees. His body was tense, and he was ready to take his idiot trainer out of place at any time. I have to say, this vine snake, whether it is fighting talent or mentality, is amazing. The little purple beast tilted its head, seeing that the other party didn't seem to have any ill intentions, so it also calmed down the condensed worm-type energy factor, turned its head, and prepared to leave. Wait. However, the girl called the little beast again and again. The little purple beast was really unprepared. After turning around, he turned his head upside down and looked at Mei with a puzzled expression. I'm sorry, at first I didn't know if you were an elf who likes to be subdued. The girl scratched her head naively, and first apologized. Then, she said again, I see you were going in that direction before. Where is the Nangang of Feiyan City? Are you going to cross the sea? The little purple beast was stunned. He pondered for a moment. It glanced in the direction of the shaking and pulling feeling of the painted fragments in its arms, and then turned to look at May, who had a curious face. Moment. I.e. tilde. The little purple beast swiveled its body, aimed the needle thorn on the top of its head on the ground, and the purple liquid sprayed out, and began to paint and paint. It didn't take long for a comic strip to appear on the ground. Oh, it's amazing, you can even draw. He tilde. The girl cheered beautifully, and the little purple beast seemed to be infected by this enthusiasm, and twirled happily. Finally. The rattan snake on the side can't stand it anymore. Go. Reminded. This pair of Han, Yayi, in the 307 gestures of the little purple beast, gradually understood the general meaning of this picture. Oh, I probably understand. You came here from a faraway place, looking for someone or a genie, to rescue a trapped elf, right? Bye tilde. Then, good. I've decided. May clenched her fists. Let me go with you. After all, you are a wild elf, and it is very difficult to find someone on your way. Also, if you want to cross the sea, it's more convenient to take a boat. How is it? The girl's eyes were sincere, and she stretched her palm to the front of the purple beast. Would you like to travel with me for a while? Vine tilde. At his feet, the rattan snake suddenly sighed feebly. And the little purple beast didn't hesitate at all. After a cheerful chirping sound, it approached, rubbed the palm of Yayi's hand, and landed on the girl's shoulder. Very good. Then, the Yayi search team is officially set off. With a wave of Yayi's hand, the purple beast also responded with a sound, 1 person and 2 pets, and under the leadership of Yayi and the direction of the purple beast, strode forward and headed for Nangang in Feiyan City. Not long after May and the others left. Tada, a handsome young man stepped out of the woods behind with crisp steps, and looked at the comic strip on the ground. He has long turquoise hair, wears a black hat, long white sleeves on the upper body, and a pair of gray trousers on the lower body. His expression was calm and indifferent. But there is an innate deep tenderness in his eyes and spirits. From another world, to find a savior of inherited power. Interesting. Open black lens bracket big chapter close black lens bracket. P.S. Ultimate Necrozma, the great god of radiance, once brought light and vitality to the Alola region and the ultimate space, but the greedy super city human ancestors designed to take away the power of the ultimate Necrozma and light, and imprisoned it in a tower in the center of the ultimate metropolis. However, after the Ultra Necrozma lost its light, the entire Ultra space, especially the Ultra Metropolis, was almost completely shrouded in darkness, with almost no vitality, which can be regarded as evil and evil. This chapter the content contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 102. The fish that slipped through the net, dismounted. Please complete the order. Turn your eyes back to the East region. Afternoon. It was quite extravagant. After a good rest at the VIP training ground, Baizi set off and went to the location of the Golden Yellow Gym. Get ready to complete the gym challenge today. Because it is noon. He received almost indiscriminate emails from Aunt Hanako and Dr. Ogi. They are all video messages asking where they are now and whether they are safe. From the unconcealed sadness on the faces of the two people, especially Aunt Hanako, Baizi had already roughly guessed what happened. As predicted. After he logged into the elf.com, the big characters, Sanen, slave sinking nothing, were listed high as the #1 hot search. Did it still happen? But Xiaoji is a real guy. I have already left a message to remind you not to take the Saint Anne slave cruise ship. With a helpless sigh, Baizi had to temporarily change his route, preparing to go to Lampulchi overnight after finishing the Golden Yellow Dojo. Because according to the plot of the original book, the place where Xiaoji and his party finally landed without any risk is the famous tourist spot in Kanto, the city of Lampurki. And Baizi is going to make a reversal based on the plot of the original book after he feels that he arrives in Lampolchi City, to see if he can find out Xiaoji and his party in advance. Aunt Hanako, who is also saved, is frightened all day long. Not only that. According to the original plot, Xiaomao should also appear in Lampolchi City. It just so happens that Baizi can also easily get the destiny reward on the last fish that slipped through the net, in this real new town. Today, the Super Energy Gym, Golden Gym, located in the southeast corner of Golden City, welcomed a special guest. Who are you? In the battle field, Natsi, who is suspended on the high platform, asked in a cold tone with her beautiful hair and no wind. On her side, sitting cross-legged in the void, the powerful mental force kept stirring and swaying, causing bursts of ripples in the air that looked like real substance. The astonishingly tall red-haired woman who suddenly broke in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. The one who confronted Hudi in the field was the dark crow who was about to break through the Heavenly King level, not to mention. The arbor was coiled around her. Just looked at each other a few times. Even with her powerful mental power comparable to that of a Heavenly King level super elf, she couldn't stop feeling a piercing chill on her back. It's like a sharp blade hanging from the neck, facing the fangs. I'm afraid, I have come a long way in the rank of the king. Even if it is not the peak of the king, it is at least the level of the high rank of the king. Don't worry, Zhang, little sister, I have no ill will. Athena tucked her hair around her ear, sat on the snake chair held up by Aber Snake, and said in a lazy tone. Of course she was not malicious. Because her purpose here is to try to recruit Nazuka to join the Rockets. Certainly. The necessary temptation is indispensable. As for the result, to be honest, she is very satisfied. Perhaps due to lack of training, Natsi's pure trainer's strength is not strong. There is only one elf, Yanjira, and her level is not low at her age. It looks like a mid-level king. What really amazes Athena is Natsi's powerful superpower. Even if you have done a thorough investigation and research before you come. But really see. That superpower is like the ocean, or it still makes her heart tremble. Is this definitely not a super-type elf in human skin? Well known. In addition to the superpowers, they have powerful strengths that are attributed to themselves. For the training and comprehension of superpower elves, it has a very good increase in effect. And a superpower like Natsi whose superpowers have grown to the level of being comparable to the Heavenly King level super elves, the increase of the super elves below the Heavenly King level is even more terrifying. It can be said. It is a 100% future superpower trainer reserve force. Moreover, it is not an ordinary reserve force. Athena's eyes became more and more appreciative, so she did not hide it, and immediately said bluntly, Master Natsi, you have great potential, I officially invite you to become our companion. You will become more strong. Besides, don't worry about anyone being afraid of you anymore. Because you'll have truly like-minded companions. Join our rockets. Athena's eyes were burning, her tone was sincere and with strong confidence. According to her investigation, although Natsi was born in a family of superpowers, because she has shown her terrifying superpower talent and strength since childhood, not only ordinary people are afraid of her, but even other superpowers and even her parents are not always living fear of her power. As a result, the subconscious alienation and rejection of Natsi made Natsi's heart severely traumatized, and gradually closed her heart, becoming cold and lacking in emotion. At this point, Athena actually felt the same way. Her physical growth has been different from ordinary people since she was a child, and when she was 8 or 9 years old, she was almost as tall as an ordinary adult. The quality of the body is not inferior, even far beyond ordinary people. Therefore, also received a lot of rejection and strange eyes. Known as a monster, a strange force girl. Until she met that man. The phrase, this innate strength is really beautiful, made her determined to follow and changed her life. Natsi is just like her. Or, more miserable. As a member of the monster, in the eyes of the world, Athena knows very well that there is nothing that they desire more than identity. As she thought, Nazi's expression was shaken. But just when Athena was more confident, Nazi's originally shaky expression changed suddenly. It was as if there was something that made her wake up from the struggle in an instant. I will consider this matter, and I will give you an answer tomorrow. Nazi's voice couldn't hear any emotion at all. Obviously, she had repressed the emotions in her heart. Okay, then I'll wait for your reply. Athena didn't push her too hard. After she nodded her head, she simply got up and left. Ellipsis. Crisp heels knocked across the corridor. When Athena walked out of the gate of the gym, she happened to pass by a boy with silver white hair. To be frank, even with Athena's temperament, after seeing the boy's face, he would not stop taking a second look. He is indeed handsome, just like the readers. And Bai, who passed by him, nodded with a calm smile on his face. But in my heart, Ren, no, muttered. Because he recognized the identity of this astonishingly large woman. And Lambda, who can be said to have died under his compliment, is also a senior cadre of the Rockets, 4 generals, Athena. Athena, why did the Rockets come to the Golden Hall under the League? Are you here to find Nazi? So, Nazi's identity needs to be scrutinized. In this comprehensive worldview, is she a pure gym trainer, or is she one of the 3 cadres, members of the Rockets? With such thoughts, Bai walked through the dark corridor unimpeded all the way, and following the induction of his half-awakened spiritual power, he came to a door at the end of the corridor. Before the door was opened, across the door, Bai felt a group of powerful but wanton mental energy surging continuously inside the door. A frenzy like a runaway wild horse. More like the burning white lights in the darkness, unscrupulously announcing their existence. Don't guess. That must be the spiritual power emanating from Nazi's superpower. What's the meaning? Get off the horse. Bai frowned. And then, with a squeak, one by one, the door automatically opened to both sides. In front of him, Nazi's floating figure, who had been waiting by the side, immediately caught Bai's eyes. Nazi. Bai thought silently in his heart, and at the same time, the brilliance that no one could see in his eyes suddenly swept towards the good Zhao in the field, who only nodded to him. Hudi. 1 Elf. Hudi Temporary Evolution Yangjira. Attribute. Super Energy System. Characteristic. Magic Defense Monty. Level. Mid Tianwang Level 66. 0/10 to 0 Quasi Tianwang Peak. Peak Level 59. 50/10 to 0. Potential. King of Heaven. HP. 55. Attack. 50. Defense. 45. Special Attack. 135. Special Defense. 95. Speed. 120. Common Skills. Bending Spoon. Immobilization Method. Instant Movement. Fantasy Light. Halved Reflection. Exchange of Venues. Spiritual Blade. Self-Regeneration. Spiritual Rush G. Spiritual Strong Mind. Predicting the Future. Meditation. Inherited Skills. Psychic Power. Defensive Equity. Prop. Bending Spoon. After carrying, the power of superpower attribute moves will be improved. Open black lens bracket condition. Good close black lens bracket. Introduction. Excellent aptitude. Yangjira, who evolved from Kathy, who lived with Nazi since childhood, has strong strength and a calm personality, and was temporarily evolved into a spear in the form of Hudi due to the enhancement of Nazi's superpower. Chapter 103. The Wrong Nazi. Spiritual Awakening. Please complete order. Good boy. After reading the data panel of this Hudi Yangjira by Ren. No, breathed a breath of cold air, and made a negligible contribution to global warming. Directly from the top of the Quasi-King, Peak 2, peak to the middle level of the King of Heaven, there are 7 levels and 2 ranks, which is simply a hang-up. While secretly slandering. However, Baizi suddenly felt that after the opposite Nazi scrutinized her own eyes, the spiritual power surging in her body increased instead of decreasing. It turned into an invisible tidal wave, aiming in the direction of Baizi, surging forward. Baizi's eyes narrowed, and a cold color flashed in his eyes. Not moving. However, the hem of the hair silk clothes is automatic without the wind, surpassing everything, and the arrogance that surpasses ancient and modern suddenly rises, facing the incoming spiritual power. Bang! In the center of Baizi and Nazi, there seemed to be two invisible forces competing in the middle of the sky, causing bursts of black electric arcs to continue in the void. Flashing. Zira, humph. Humph. After a while, the two of them groaned at the same time. Baizi's shoulders swayed, and Nazi fluttered backwards with a flushed face, and the energy in the field gradually subsided. Down. Hu Tian, who was on the side, looked at Nazi and Baizi with a tangled expression, looking like he was hesitant to say anything. And the shadow under Baizi's feet also twisted slightly like a living thing. Potential. Nazi's slender 307 willow eyebrows were raised, and although there was no smile on her face, it gave Baizi an illusion that she seemed to be smiling. Nazi, what do you mean? However, there was no smile on Baizi's face. He felt the pain from the constant stirring between his eyebrows, and his expression gradually became colder. Undeniable. Nazi is indeed very beautiful, especially Baizi's understanding is relatively comprehensive, and she knows that the deeply hidden Nazi is not inferior to the dazzling Hyena. But no matter whether she is beautiful or not, even if you count the favorability bonus of the paper man's wife in her previous life. But if it is really an enemy, Baizi will never be soft-hearted. Perhaps it was, felt Baizi's anger. The opposite Nazi blinked, and then, she aimed her eyes at Baizi, and said word by word, "Your mental strength is full enough. The reason why you are still in a semi-awakened state is because of the lack of external thorns excited. What I used just now was not a superpower, but pure mental oppression, which won't cause any harm to you." The tone of voice, as always, was flat and unwavering. But I don't know if it was an illusion, but Baizi could hear a trace in the tone of these words. Wronged. Baizi was a little dumbfounded. Because Baizi's power was fleeting, it was indeed discovered that Nazi had no malice towards her. Cough. What is that? Baizi was a little embarrassed by Nazi's straight eyes, ACBH, so he spread his hands, closed his eyes, and said, "You can come." Okay. Staring at Baizi with her eyes closed, Nazi's cheeks bulged, but in the end she responded with a sound, and the majestic mental power in her body was activated again, pressing in the direction of Baizi. Humph tilde. The next moment, the familiar feeling of swelling and pain came from the eyebrows again. Under the pressure of the outside world, there seemed to be a faint feeling of breaking out of the shell. But this layer of shell seems to be too tough. Even though she has become active enough under the stimulation of Nazi's spiritual power, she still cannot break through this invisible shackle for a while. And right now, Nazi's cold voice came out of her mind. Don't be so rambunctious, you have to learn to use cleverness to condense your mental power. Imagine it is an iron cone, pull it back like a spring, and try your best to compress. He said. Nazi mobilized her mental power to stimulate the activity of Baizi's mental power. While activating Baizi's spiritual power to the greatest extent, he also tried his best to prevent his own spiritual power from intervening in the core area of Baizi's spiritual power awakening. Breaking the shell must be done by Baizi himself. Because of this process, it is also a stage in which Baizi's spiritual power has grown rapidly through constant struggle and confrontation. Just as others rashly intervene in this process, then, without the spiritual power that grows and awakens in the confrontation, it will be far less powerful and comprehensive than the spiritual power awakened by breaking through the obstacles by oneself. But the process will not be short. And doing two things with one mind, coupled with the extreme operations, even Nazi felt that it was a bit laborious. Kiss tilde young. On the side, the boosted power was instantly swept away, and Hudi also degenerated into Yanjira in the white light, looking at Nazi and Baizi, who were connected by spiritual power with worry. The power recalled on Yanjira's body made Nazi's tense expression a little relieved. Now, the only thing I need to worry about is whether Baizi will be too impatient. After all, the process of breaking the shell, by sensing and manipulating his own mental power, is no different from digging with bare hands in a dark and closed cage. Because of being in such a predicament, especially when awakening the spiritual power, the senses will be infinitely enlarged, and it is difficult for people to achieve complete peace of mind. And once you can't hit the spirit, it will be even more difficult if you want to successfully break the shell, to awaken. Just when Nazi was hesitant to say something comforting to stabilize Baizi's mood, but suddenly felt it. The emotions emanating from Baizi's mental power were not at all irritable and oppressive. On the contrary, they became more and more high and full as time passed. Nazi was stunned for a moment. This man, no, it should be said that this young man has such a tenacious will. Not affected at all. Still more and more courageous. Nazi was shocked. No one could understand the difficulty in the process of awakening her spiritual power better than her. If it weren't for her unique talent, she was born with a spiritual power hundreds of times more than ordinary people. I am afraid it would be difficult to endure the process of awakening spiritual power. And even so, she also relied on the mental explosion when she was on the verge of collapse, and barely managed to break the shell. But now, she could feel that Baizi's mental power did not produce even the slightest negative emotion, and it slowly increased his mental power at a very stable, even precise speed, constantly consuming it. Breaking through the shell of spiritual power. Simply. Stable like a machine. You do your best to run your mental power to break through the blockade, you will gain a little, mental power plus 0.5, mental barrier weakened by 0.5%. You do your best to run your mental power to break through the blockade, you will gain a little, mental power plus 0.5, mental barrier weakened by 0.5%. You do your best to run your mental power to break through the blockade, you will gain a little, mental power plus 0.5, mental barrier weakened by 0.5%. Nazi's induction is not wrong. Under the reward of God, Baizi's speed up is simply too stable. Not to mention that under the sound of the system, not only did he progress steadily, but his goals were also very clear. Because the strength of the mental barrier cannot be clearly defined in the eyes of others, for him, it is no different from the game task bar with the progress bar displayed. Ding! The spiritual power is increased by 100, the spiritual barrier is completely broken through, you have completed the awakening of the spiritual power, the spirit plus 15, successfully awakened the superpower perfect, primary, 152 200ths. Note, the level of superpower is the same as the host's mental strength. 2 hours later, after Baizi's unremitting efforts, he finally broke through the spiritual barrier, completed the awakening of spiritual power, and became a superpower like Nazi. For a time, he felt as if his entire body had broken free from some kind of bondage, and an invisible force was born from within his body. At the same time, the substitute for mental power also made his mind clear and his thinking became quite active. It even has a wonderful space-sensing ability. He quickly realized it. Woo! After a few minutes, he breathed a sigh of relief and opened his eyes. One entry. It's a pretty face that almost sticks to his face. Chapter 104. The ominous birdsong. The incoming fire rain, ice wind and thunder column. For full order. What do you want to do? Baizi wasn't frightened. After all, he was a superpower now. Even if he was far from Nazi, he still had basic psychic perception ability. Show me your mind power. Nazi said softly. Between the words, the warm moisture and fragrant fragrance caused Baizi to be in a trance for a moment. Seeing that Baizi was a little dazed, Nazi repeated, I want to see the color of your psychic power. The color of psychic power. Baizi finally calmed down, leaned back slightly, raised his eyebrows, and asked suspiciously, is there anything in it? He said. He stretched out a hand, and a layer of burning white thought power glowing with silver light emerged from the palm of his hand. Sure enough, a layer of ripples appeared in Natsy's cold eyes, and she explained, whether it is a superhuman or a super-type elves, most of the condensed thoughts are one color. Blue. Bai Zi's eyes turned and he said. Yes. Natsy nodded and continued. This is the most common color of mind power, but it is not perfect. Imperfect. Bai Zi frowned slightly, but he didn't notice that Nazi was getting closer again. Yes, it's not perfect. Natsy's eyes flashed with different colors. Such mental power colors represent their incompleteness, and they cannot control the power of all super energy factors. Or, unable to instant, moment. Or, no telepathy. Or, no future. All in all, they are incomplete, and neither is a complete, perfect user of superpowers. Only like us, with our own unique colors, can we have complete and perfect superpowers. It can do almost everything. Natsy said, also raising her palms. Shallow a greenish fog-like thought force emerged. Close. It complements Bai Zi's hand, the burning white thought group. As that's so, Bai Zi was lost in thought. He didn't doubt Natsy's words too much. After all, whether Natsy or himself, the unique characteristics of psychic power are indeed very rare. Natsy, needless to say. Momentary movement, psychic drive, turning people into dolls, augmenting spirits with superpowers to make them evolve briefly, creating spiritual bodies. In the game, she can even accurately predict the future. To be frank, as far as Bai Zi's understanding of superpowers is concerned, Natsy is the only one with such perverted and comprehensive abilities. Others, even Jie Jaihua, a well-known psychic medium in the Carlos area, or Catalia, the only daughter of the most powerful superpower family in the Hejong area, are more than one step behind. And as far as he knows, the color of the dream power seems to be unique, it is pink. However, if you want to talk about the unique color of mind power, then his Chilulian seems to be right. A thought flashed in Bai Zi's eyes. When I was about to ask again. When he looked up, he found that Nazi's pretty face had almost touched her own face at some point. Moreover, although his face was expressionless, Bai Zi always felt that his whole body was cold. It felt as if he was thinking about something. No, why are you so close? Marry me, huh? Bai Zi was stunned for a moment, and then said with a straight mouth, no, I'm here to play a gym. That's not right, why do you want me to marry you all of a sudden? Where is this? To be honest, Bai Zi was really dumbfounded and couldn't understand what was going on in Natsy's thinking. This is the gym badge, you don't need to fight. Nazi stretched out her hand and took a picture from behind, a golden concentric circle badge with an inner circle slightly higher than the outer circle, which was directly stuffed into Bai Zi's palm. Subsequently, in an extremely indifferent tone, Bai Zi's eyelids twitched. You've already seen me, and you've started. The most important thing is that in this world, only you and I are the same, we are the same kind, we should live together. Bai Zi held the golden badge in his hand, and the corners of his mouth twitched. When I was about to say something, pop, a soft sound. In the faint white light, Cerulean revealed her figure. You rude person, stay away from Bai Zi's side. In the ethereal telepathy sound, the lavender thought force wrapped Nazi in an instant, and with a wave of her plain hand, she directly threw Nazi wrapped by the thought force backwards like a ball. Boo! Halfway through the flight, Natsi's pretty face, who quickly reacted, froze, and the atomized green thought power suddenly burst, directly breaking the lavender thought power that wrapped her, and stopped in the battle like a temple before the field wall. Natsi's pretty face froze, and the turbulent green thought force swept down like a wave, heading straight for Chilean. And Cerulean was not to be outdone. Under the augmentation of the super orb, the splendid purple thought power is like a blooming utan, and it is attacked layer by layer. Amidst the roaring sound, the entire room was divided into two halves from the center of contact by the purple and green mind power, and even with Bai Zi's stable bottom plate, it was a little bit unable to stand. Seeing that Bai Zi was affected, Both Cerulean and Nazi hurriedly chose to stop at the first time, and moved to Baizi's left and right almost at the same time. Baizi, are you all right? Your superpower is too weak, you have to practice hard. The sentence in front is naturally Chilean, and the words in the back are like Nazi. Humph. After one person and one favor were finished, before Baizi could respond, he snorted coldly. In the middle of the eye contact, the wisps of electric current also rose. Well, this is not a metaphor, it is true that there is an electric current that collides and arises in the materialized, mind vision, of the two. Ah tilde tilde tilde. Baizi's mouth twitched, and he let out a long sigh. It's all my fault that I have such a handsome face with a sense of substitution. The elf on my hand is greedy for him, and the pavilion owner who has a relationship with him is also greedy for him. It's too difficult for me. All right. Jokes aside, Baizi doesn't really reject beauties like Nazi. But there is one thing he needs to figure out in advance. Do you know that red-haired woman who came out of you before? I don't know. Nazi simply shook her head and said very frankly. She broke in suddenly. She is very powerful. She wants to invite me to join their organization. It seems to be called Team Rocket. So did you agree? Baizi asked. No, I sensed you were here, so I just made an excuse to give her an answer tomorrow. Nazi replied lightly. That's fine. Baizi breathed a sigh of relief. Because of Cerulean's affair, it's almost a certainty that he and the Rockets are on opposite sides. Even if Team Rocket did not investigate the truth about the Eugean Mountain underground experimental base, Baizi himself would not easily let Team Rocket go. Because he had promised Cerulean, who was still Lelora's, the suffering she endured. He will find it all back without a trace. Chiru tilde. As if sensing what Baizi was thinking at this time, Cerulean's expression softened, and she put her small hand into Baizi's palm, and said softly as if responding. 0. Ask for flowers. Seeing this, Nazi frowned and quickly clenched Baizi's other hand. Then, he simply asked, do you have any grudge against them? What if there is? Baizi asked tentatively. Then I'll help you kill them all. Nazi's answer was very straightforward, and her tone was full of indifference to life. This is not because Nazi is hard-hearted, but because of the factors of the growing environment. Although her body and mind are fully developed, her way of thinking is like that of a child. Neither good nor evil. She behaves according to her preferences, without the slightest notion of right and wrong. Baizi also didn't care. He is not a virgin, and has always believed in the philosophy of, people don't offend me, I don't offend people, if anyone offends me, cut the grass and root out. A partner like Nazi who is strong and has no scruples in his actions, but whose heart is like a blank piece of paper, can be edited by him. To be honest, Baizi doesn't hate it. Even. It can be said that he is so cautious. However, it is obviously impossible for him to enter the grave of marriage so early. 0. He also, to see more landscapes, to meet more wonderful people and elves. He couldn't have stopped just like that. But, when Baizi told Nazi about this, Nazi made a rather decisive decision. Outside the gate of the Golden Temple. So, are you so determined to travel with me? Looking at the completely closed door behind him, Baizi's mouth twitched slightly. Thinking that Nazi directly moved the middle-aged man who should be her father into the gym out of thin air, and at the same time restored her mother's body. Then he left the sentence, the gym will be handed over to you, in the confused expression on the other side's face. He didn't give the two of them any room to answer, and simply used his superpowers again to temporarily block the room and moved out with himself in an instant. Baizi was unable to touch his forehead. If he waited for Nazi's parents to come out, I am afraid they would inform Miss Juntia and accuse him of abducting and selling girls, right? Yes, no matter what you're going to do or where you're going, I'll follow you anyway. Nazi replied in a flat, expressionless voice. Completely ignoring Cerulean, who was gritting her teeth secretly. At this time, it was already sunset, and the sky was getting dark. Just when Baizi was about to call out the wind speed dog to hurry. Bang, one by one, the explosive flames erupted from the top of the silver building in the very center of the city. The sound shook half the city. The blazing fire suddenly illuminated the dim sky into a bright light. The whole city was silent, and then, a roar of noise suddenly spread throughout the city. But it's not over yet. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The incomparably ominous bird chirping sounded through the sky from the blast of fire, and accompanied by the bursts of screeching sounds. Fire, rain, ice, wind, and thunder pillars suddenly swept out. P.S. Is it not see who is not to everyone's taste? How do you feel? I feel that the response is mediocre. A few. Chapter 105. The Three Holy Birds. Kill Athena. For full order. The surging three color elements bombarded the buildings around the Shaloof Silver Company building, causing a sudden explosion. For a while, the rising smoke completely shrouded the most prosperous commercial street in the entire Golden City. The rubble collapsed and the house collapsed. Sirens, whistles, and chaotic and frightened cries now resounded throughout the city. And then, Kacha, the gates of the underground passages suddenly cracked open, and countless members of the rocket team wearing felt hats and gray-black characters with the character R poured out from them. An all-powerful young male trainer. A team of 10 people. Each team is prepared with equal amounts of arboreal snakes, double bomb gases and big-mouthed bats. As soon as they came out, they began to drive out and destroy, as if they were deliberately creating chaos and trying to attract the attention of the Alliance and the city. In an instant, explosions sounded one after another, and the smoke of gunpowder rose into the sky in every corner of the Golden City. And as the smoke from the top of the Shiroof building gradually dissipated, the figures of three unique bird-shaped Pokémon suddenly appeared in Baizi's eyes. The elegant figure in blue, sprinkled with a little bit of ice dust. The wings bathed in flames flutter, scorching and twisting the air. Control the thunder and lightning, the thorn-like golden bird. Frozen bird, flame bird. 323, lightning bird. Taking a deep breath, Baizi said the names of the three legendary elves in the Guandu area. This is the three holy birds. At the same time, the brilliance that nurtured the power of exploration flickered in the eyes. Race, frozen bird. Attribute, ice flying. Characteristic, snow hidden, Monty. Level, Heavenly King peak level 69, 2100s. Potential, level 3 God. Status, controlled. Law comprehension, ice element 1.2%. Open black lens bracket race, flame bird close black lens bracket. Attribute, fire flying. Characteristic, flame body, Monty. Level, Heavenly King peak level 69, 2100s. Potential, level 3 God. Status, controlled. Law comprehension, fire element 1.2%. Race, lightning bird. Attribute, electric flying. Characteristic, static electricity, Monty. Level, Heavenly King peak level 69, 2100s. Potential, level 3 God. Status, controlled. Law comprehension, electricity 1.2%. 3 controlled members of the Divine Bird Group. And, although the strength is the peak of the King of Heaven, these 3 divine birds are all members who have comprehended the power of the law. The real combat power is not inferior to the general champion elves. This kind of strength, coupled with the elite members of the Rockets who are obviously not ordinary cannon fodder, want to subvert the golden market, and even completely destroy the golden market without hindrance. It is only a matter of time. But Baizi rubbed his swollen temples, ignoring his body, the former member of Team Rocket who was slapped by Nazi and Cerulean with his mind power. Insight. With obvious doubts. It is undeniable that as a large-scale dark organization spanning Kanto, Chengdu and Chengdu, the Rockets are quite strong. The notorious 3 beasts of the Special Squad, the 4 generals of the senior cadres who were removed from their names. Not counting Sakagi himself, and the former members of the Rockets who were hidden in the dark and took a back seat. There are as many as 7 Heavenly King-level trainers in the Rockets. Such a deep foundation. It's no wonder that the alliance between the 2 places in Gwandu has been fighting together for many years, but it has not been able to completely destroy the Rockets. On the contrary, it has allowed this dark organization to grow stronger. But no matter how strong it grows and how deeply rooted it is, a dark organization is a dark organization. Still have to be suppressed in the dark by the Alliance. Not on the table. In this world, in the hundreds of years since the Alliance was officially established in modern times, there are, and only one, the real hegemonic forces on the continent, and that is the Elven Alliance. But what Team Rocket is doing now is different from the privateering of elves, illegal smuggling and trafficking, and even elves' experiments and murder. Directly attacking the city is still the card of the Kanto region. The Golden City is the economic and commercial center. By doing this, the Rockets are completely challenging the bottom line of the Elf League. Baizi knew without guessing. After this incident, the Rockets will inevitably be subject to the mad, crazy revenge and oppression of the Alliance, especially the Kanto Alliance. In a short period of time, I am afraid that it will be difficult for the Rockets to emerge in the Kanto area. More importantly, according to the timeline of the original work, at this stage, Sakagi should be putting all his energy into the God creation project, right? Not to mention being a shrinking turtle, the bottom line of challenging the Alliance with such a big fight is really true. Is it okay? You know, Mewtwo hasn't been created yet. At this time, the attacking city is going all out. Could it be because he is about to successfully create Mewtwo, so Sakagi is a little floating. Tisk tisk, are you really not afraid of angering the Alliance and carrying out a carpet cleaning of all the cities in the Kanto region? At that time, once the capital chain breaks, and the final progress of Mewtwo's production is stuck, won't Sakagi go crazy? Baizi's mouth evoked a rather evil arc. He actually understood it very well. Sakagi is not a fool. There must be some unknown tricks in it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's borrowing a knife to kill, or fishing in troubled waters, or whether Sakagi really lost his mind. It doesn't matter. What he has to do, it is to hold this shit pot firmly on Sakagi's head. Natsu, if you were asked to find someone you've seen before, would you be able to find her quickly? You mean that redhead? Natsu tilted her head, and slapped a member of Team Rocket who rushed up, along with the elf, into the wall bricks, wiping her hands in the air. Next second, a bright green mirror appeared in midair. The picture revealed in the mirror is exactly the scene of Athena holding the communicator with a gloomy face and talking. Very good. Baizi's mouth hooked, and he was about to leave. Out of the corner of his eye, he suddenly swept across the ruins of the Shiroof building, where only half of it remained. A familiar figure was floating in the air, hanging in the air. This is... Baizi's complexion changed, and he quickly took out a single-sided mini-telescope from his backpack and looked in the direction of the building. Exposed, on top of the steel bars that extend out 4 or 5 meters away. A girl with long brown hair and a black dress is facing down, wrapped around her waist by a pink rope, hanging weakly in the air. Little blue. Ellipsis. At the same time. In a private room of a hotel not far from here. Athena, who was wearing a bathing suit, looked out the window at a chaotic battle scene, her face gloomy and the leader Sakagi reporting information about the Golden City. Yes, Boss Sakagi, I have never met the members of the Rockets. Yes, temporarily take charge of the Sacred Bird Integration Plan, for me, and Lance, who is sitting in the Golden City, can't be contacted for the time being. Yes, I understand, I will leave the Golden City immediately. Click, Lance. The phone hung up, Athena clenched her palm, and the metal-cased communicator was instantly squeezed into a ball by a terrifying force, and countless tiny glass shards fell from the gaps between her palms. It's really an east-west that has more than enough success. The veins on Athena's forehead popped out, and she cursed in a low voice. No wonder she was angry. Sacred Bird Combination Project is an experimental project presided over by her, which took several years, countless funds and painstaking efforts. It looked like it was going to be done. She just went out to do some business, and Lance, who was in charge of temporarily replacing her, made such a big mess for her. The 3 holy birds who were secretly imprisoned in Shiroof were released, and a bunch of Rocket members who even she and the boss Sakagi couldn't figure out their origins for a while destroyed the golden market they had been running for a long time in secret. Then, he couldn't find anyone himself. If it weren't for the boss Sakagi telling her that the Alliance's special forces and a 4-day king not far from here were already on their way. Athena had to lead the team in person to start a killing spree, find out the Lance's guy, chop it up and feed it to the dog. Woo, woo. After taking a few deep breaths, Athena, who barely suppressed her anger, quickly cleaned up, smashed the floor-to-ceiling windows directly, released the armored bird, and prepared to leave the place. But as soon as he turned over and jumped on the back of the armored bird, a strong sense of crisis suddenly emerged from his heart. Athena hurriedly rolled over on the spot and rolled behind the sofa in the living room. Next second, swish swish, a few conical energy needles with the thickness of the forearm, thorns, and they stabbed deeply into the position where Athena was before. Who is this? 1.7 Athena asked sharply. At the same time, with a wave of his hand, he threw 2 pokeballs in front of him and above the broken floor-to-ceiling windows. Aberman, intimidate. Dark Crow, delay, hissed Tilda. The thickness of the mouth of the bowl, the ferocious and vicious purple giant snake circled its body and protected Athena behind it. Ga Tilda. And the whole body is dark, like a petite crow wearing a gentleman's hat. As soon as he appears, his red eyes sweep across the fan-shaped area in front of the window like a searchlight. Delay skills to overwhelm opponents, putting their order of actions last. In the wild. This is an excellent change-type skill to prevent sneak attacks. And then, a slender silhouette with a golden and iron color was pushed out of the window from less than 1 meter above Athena's head, as if it had been applied with backward magic. Cold sweat fell from Athena's temples in an instant. P.S. Let's use Shalufu, Silver Company, and be more used to it Tilda. Chapter 106. Absolute Tactical Crushing, Fire Fist Ace. Please complete order. Big, Needle, B. Athena called out the name of the elf word by word, with lingering fears all over her face. Almost. Almost. If it wasn't for her timely response, she would be even a little bit slower, or she might not have picked the right skills. I'm afraid she has already died in Wonkwon. And whose spirit is this? This ruthless and decisive attack is more like a dark organization than she is a dark organization. Beard Tilda. The big needlebee who was pushed out of the window shook his needle arm, his expression remained the same, and immediately began to hit his spirit and began to meditate. Almost in the blink of an eye, a circle of energy swords burst out from the body of the drooping needlebee. Sword dance, done. What? Athena was startled again. The sword dance trick is indeed an excellent boosting skill. But whether it is to dance the fight dance, to stimulate the energy and muscles in the body, or to concentrate on the liberation of potential power through meditation, it takes a long time to hit the spirit. Yes. Is there anything like this instant? To know. Even the absolute ace of the Rocket's boss O2's Sakagi, the big needlebee, after the targeted training, the time of the sword dance was only shortened to 3 seconds. At this time, it can be said that it is already amazing enough. But the heterochromatic hornbee in front of him could shorten the time to less than 1 second. It's almost instant. This is really... Athena was shocked. At the same time, vigilance could not help but rise again. Even though, she has already seen that the heterochromatic hornbee in front of her is only the level of a quasi-celestial king. In the elf world, the weak overcome the strong, or the example of capsize in the gutter, there are too many examples. Just what she saw with her own eyes, it has been no less than dozens. Not to mention, she had just experienced the feeling that her life was hanging by a thread under the sting of this giant stinger bee. Thinking of this, Athena narrowed her long and narrow phoenix eyes and ordered coldly, "Dark crow, black eyes. Arbor monster, big snake staring. Armored bird, pecking drill. It's too dangerous to open up with this heterochromatic hornbee. If one is not good, you may suffer a big loss." Therefore, to be cautious, even though Athena knew that her strength was firmly above the opponent, she bluntly issued an interlocking siege command. "Be sure to kill with one hit. Ga tilde." The dark crow immediately uttered the sound of death, and the pitch-black eyes fell on the body of the giant needlebee. Hiss tilde. At the same time, Abersnake opened his bone wings, his eyes shone brightly, and he glared fiercely at the giant needlebee. Immediately, a yellow electric light flashed, indicating that the hornet was in a state of paralysis. Ya tilde. The armored bird also followed with a screeching sound, turned its body, folded its wings, and stabbed the giant needlebee with its sharp beak like a drill. This blow contains killing intent. Because it was this worm elf that was only suitable for its own food, and in front of it, it was like a mustard, and its trainer was in danger. Two-way control, one-hit kill. To be frank, this combo is really dangerous. But if you want to use more to bully less, you have to ask me if I agree or not. The ethereal and indifferent voice of the soul started, and in an instant, the rushing armored bird was immediately wrapped in a layer of lavender thought power and settled in place. Bang Yi, ruthlessly smashed through the floor and was directly penetrated into the lower floor. And then, snapped. Swishing green glows also lit up around the giant needlebee. The giant needlebee struggled hard, and suddenly lost control, passing an afterimage in midair, and attacked Athena fiercely again. Move at high speed. Double needle. Hold on. Athena's face darkened, her eyelids jumped wildly with a fatal sense of crisis, and the Aberdeen quickly stopped in front of her. She's about to hate the stinger and its trainer now. A mere quasi-king level power. She was once forced to smash left and right, and it was hard to resist. Ellipsis ellipsis ellipsis. This is the big stinger wasp trained by a field death fighting expert. It's like training a killing machine. Gone. Athena gritted her teeth and endured in her heart, she couldn't help but utter a foul language. Hey tilde. And the Aberdeen had to give up the advantage in strength, neighing, trying his best to open his bone wings, and endured the fierce blow of the big needlebee. The double needles are like an electric light that can be closed at the touch of a button, but the impact of the extreme speed still makes Aber strangely endure. No, stop groaning, and the abdominal organs have a sense of displacement. Sleep. On the neck, the center of the black pattern similar to the eyes, two tiny blood spots are leached out, with a little purple. Obviously. With the blow just now, although the giant stinger retreated, it still left a small gift for the Aber monster. Poison attack. Athena only felt her temples throbbing, but at this moment there was an indifferent girl next to the shining cerulean floating outside the window, but her face became even more gloomy. Z. Ellipsis ellipsis ellipsis. At the same time. Golden City. On the street leading to Shiroof building in the city center, a young man was driving a beast of flames, and he was constantly advancing against the crowd, which was very conspicuous. He was handsome, with two small freckles faintly visible on his face, and black half-short hair under an orange cowboy hat with two circular emoji badges. He was shirtless, with a red rosary hanging from his neck. The left arm is tattooed with the words open black lens bracket ASCE close black lens bracket, in which open black lens bracket S close black lens bracket is crossed. Not only that, but on his broad back, there is also a black cross skull that resembles a pirate flag, and on the corners of the skull's lips, there is a white-black moonbeard curved like a new sickle. And he sat down with the flame beast that looked like a wind speed dog. The whole body is surrounded by white smoke, and there are flame-like phantom hairs floating between the shoulders, neck and 4 feet, which looks very magical. If there are two-dimensional fans in the past life here, they will definitely recognize the name of the man sitting on the back of the beast of flame. Fire Fist Ace. That's right. Right now, the one riding on the back of the wind speed dog when 323 turned into a blazing sun is precisely Baizi, who transformed into the image of Fire Fist Ace, with the help of Zoroa's hallucination ability. Now that he has made plans to pit the rockets, he naturally has to pick himself up as much as possible. To avoid trouble with Sakagi from time to time. To know. Although in the end Mewtwo was out of the control of Sakagi and Team Rocket. But in the beginning, Team Rocket, or Sakagi, used the restraint armor to manipulate Mewtwo, who was in a period of confusion for a while. Before you can be sure. He has spared no effort in pitting the rockets, but revealing his identity is of course exempted from it. At the very least, he has to wait until after the Mewtwo's counter-attack incident. Rush all the way. On the way, Baizi also let the wind speed dog solve it easily, solving several groups of rocket members who hit the road along the way. In this way, within 2 or 3 minutes, Baizi rushed to the commercial street in the city center. Sheriff building, close at hand. But at this time, the ever-changing monster that originally turned into a rope to connect Shaolin and the steel bar was finally overwhelmed. After exhaustion, one by one loosened the steel bar in a trance. In an instant, Shaolin and the ever-changing monsters around her waist suddenly fell down. Chapter 107. Baizi Beast used a kicking trick, an empty-handed person. For full order. And at the same time. Yeah tilde. In the shrill and disorderly bird singing, the lightning, electric birds blazing all over the sky above coincidentally hooked up the thunder light of the big canopy, like a power grid, and scattered towards the falling down of Shaolin. Wind speed dog. Baizi's expression condensed, and he stuffed Zoroya in the collar, shouted and stood up, half squatting on the back of the wind speed dog. Next second. Whoosh. Squeak. The wind speed dog comprehended the lightning up, and after rushing to the halfway, twisted like a drift, and went straight towards the power grid in midair. Coax. A layer of fire clothes suddenly rose up fiercely, wrapping the wind speed dog's body. Turned into a blazing sun. Soared to the sky. Tread. Almost at the same time, Baizi, who jumped up with the help of the wind speed dog's twisting and swinging force, was also in midair at this moment, able to intercept the falling Shaolan. As soon as Pooh fell into his arms, Baizi realized that Shaolan was not in a coma at all. Because her body was trembling violently and at a high frequency. It seems that some unknown fear made her unable to support the movement of her body at all, soft and boneless. This is not an adjective, but Shaolan's entire body is now limp, as if the muscles and bones are not connected, like a puppet that has lost its bearing. But now is not the time to think about that. The weightlessness of free fall. And the whistling in his ears proved that although he caught Shaolin, he was still in the process of falling rapidly. Baizi. The embrace is very warm. This is the first feeling that Shaolan reluctantly condenses a little meaning. Yu Guangzong. Although the sunshine boy she saw was different from what she knew, the touch on her body and the inexplicably familiar aura made her confirm Baizi's true identity right away. At this moment, the rushing gust of wind made Baizi unable to open his eyes a little, but his half-squinted eyes, in the spirit, although there was a sense of tension, did not show even the slightest panic. After all. Not to mention that his life-saving trump card, Machado, can completely guarantee his life, safety. Just say himself. Not unprepared for such a situation. Kacha, the sound of the machine running. Baizi stopped Shaolin's slender waist with one arm, and the right arm was clenched and raised on the back of the hand, and 2 mechanical flyers quickly extended from both sides of the mechanical glove. Wing. Baizi's falling momentum suddenly stopped. And then, boom. In the blazing fire behind him, the surging impact suddenly pushed Baizi forward. Baizi adjusted the flying wings and flew in parallel. Finally, he bent his knees slightly, ran a few steps forward, and stopped on the street hundreds of meters away from the building. The landing posture is very handsome. But in such a chaotic central area, apart from the Team Rocket, who fought together, Junsha and scattered alliance trainers, there was no audience to applaud Baizi's hero for saving beauty. Even at the moment of landing, he was attacked. Big, mouthed bat, suck blood. Ma tilde. Under the order of a member of the Rocket team, the big, mouthed bat flapping its purple diaphragm wings pounced, with a bloody mouth, and charged straight towards Baizi's lowering. That hunting-like expression seemed to treat Baizi as a movable blood bag. Be careful. On the side, Miss Junsha, who was dealing with several members of Team Rocket, was shocked when she saw this. Caddy is entangled by 3 arbor snakes on the opposite side. There were no other elves, and even at a disadvantage, she had to turn her gun and shoot in the direction of Baizi. Stab it, stab it, stab it. 3 shots in a row could not be fatal. At most, it could only paralyze the current flying shot of the action-shaped, and the finished glyph blocked the action route of the big, mouthed bat. I have to say that Miss Junsha's marksmanship is very good. But as a bat elf that can be positioned with ultrasound, the big, mouthed bat is a natural flying master. I saw that it didn't look back. Turning, closing, and turning in midair, avoiding these 3 currents with a wonderful flight arc. Subsequently, without reducing the speed, a meniscus was drawn in the air, and from the back, it bit towards Baizi's exposed shoulder. But in the bloodthirsty eyes of the big, mouthed bat, God and Miss Junsha's painful eyes. 1. A burning white whip shadow, slashing head-on. Bang! The fierce whip leg directly slashed the face of the big, mouthed bat, and its body fell to the ground like a ball. After several bounces, it plunged into the green belt by the roadside. You use the superpower whip leg spike to disintegrate the big, mouthed bat's fighting ability, and gain a little, kicking skill EXP plus 20, superpower EXP plus 8. Baizi withdrew his foot. A big, mouthed bat that can reach an elite level, without any defenses, with his current strength plus master level kicking skills and superpowers. With one blow, don't think about getting up easily, come up. Subsequently, he rushed forward 1 step at a time, with his toes like a sweeping stick, and knocked the trainer of the big, mouthed bat unconscious. Many members of the Rockets saw this and gathered around them in 2s and 3s. And right now, Pata, once successfully intercepted the lightning bird discharge skill, the wind speed dog jumped down from the air and came to Baizi's side. A pair of flaming pupils glanced. In an instant, the invisible coercion made the Rockets and their elves stiffen. Take off your hat. Whispering softly to remind Zoroya, Baizi stretched out his hand and took off his cowboy hat and put it on his chest, bowing slightly to Miss Junsha. Subsequently, God fast, he ordered coldly. Swish 1 by 1 is like a stream of orange-red light flickering, but in the blink of an eye, when the wind speed dog returned to Baizi again, the members of the Rocket team and all the elves on this street have all lost their battle fighting ability. You commanded the wind speed dog to defeat 22 elite level elves, with a little gain. Combat experience plus 1, the wind speed dog's experience value has been slightly increased, and the speed of proficiency, experience plus 1, humph tilde. At this time, Xiaolan, who was originally buried in his arms, also regained his energy and some strength. After she broke free with a blushing face, she stood still and said, "Thank you, Baizi, I'm much better now, let's do your business." Baizi raised his eyebrows, surprised that Xiaolan could guess his identity. But thinking of Xiaolan's ghosts and horses, it's not unacceptable. After all, it's easy to find some mistakes and omissions in close contact. Okay, don't get close to the central area, find a place to hide, or go outside the city. Save some flapping wings, and don't dare to move. Baizi pointedly said. According to Xiaolan's reaction, there are also memories in the original special chapter. Baizi knew in his heart that at this time Xiaolan had not yet broken through the bird phobia that he suffered from being kidnapped by Ho Wang when he was a child. When he got close to a large bird, he would endure, no, and feel powerless. You really know. Little Lan's face froze. Baizi shrugged, and Xiaolan didn't ask any further questions this time. Instead, she suddenly smiled, raised her arms, and waved at Baizi. Is this the gauntlet and flying wing gloves ordered by Shilufu Company? I have been reluctant to buy it, so I would like to thank you for your sponsorship this time. Bye, goodbye. As soon as the words fell, Xiaolan stuck out her tongue and made a face at Baizi. He simply turned around, slipped into the aisle next to him, and disappeared in front of Baizi's eyes in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, Baizi was stunned for a moment, raised his hand, and as expected, the flying wing glove he was wearing on his hand was gone, and he couldn't bear it for a while. Such unbelievable superb stealing skills. What is an evolved man? You simply call the empty-handed person to get it. Heart slander. Baizi didn't care too much, but turned around and looked at the three holy birds attracted by the wind speed dog. And, standing on the back of the frozen bird, that strong old man. Gong. P.S. I swear to add more today. In the name of my wife Shinado. Oh, I made a mistake, my wife is still young, and her name is Chilean 13 tilde. Chapter 108. 3 Disasters, Aries. Tai Han boy, for full order. Aries. At this moment, there was a somewhat surprised female voice. A team of Alliance Special Forces wearing red and white ball elf marks and wrapping their whole body, top and bottom, arrived with the help of the booster aircraft. In the sky, all the statues hovered above their heads. Neat and tidy. With a wordless slaughter atmosphere. And the one who spoke out was the leading middle-aged Junsha, who also wore a combat uniform but did not wrap his face. Different from ordinary Junsha's green head, with sharp edges and corners, her dark and determined face, temperament, and the combat team behind her are highly unified. The faintly revealing bloody suffocating aura made Baizi understand that this is by no means a simple character. I really didn't expect that the former top cadre of the Rockets, who was rumored to have long since retired, and Aries, the leader of the 3 Disasters, would appear here. Why, the Rockets' retirement food is not good. Do you want to taste the prison meal in the League's black prison? The middle-aged Joey with an inch of hair has a solemn expression, but his words are dignified and fearless. With a wave of his hand, he signaled that the members of the special team behind him dispersed into small teams to support the city. With only 5 or 6 captain-level escorts, he faced the former cadre of the Rockets named Aries, who controlled the divine bird. Yeah, tilde. Then, accompanied by 2 piercing screams, a pair of 323 giant falcons with wingspans of more than 3 meters volleyed into the air, one left and one right, supporting the Junsha on both sides. They wheeled huge wings, which made the surrounding air move at high speed, creating a hurricane-like effect. And mixed with a little bit of Mars overflowing and flying. In the beautiful, there is a deadly murderous intention. Their backs are red, their abdomens are mostly gray and white, and the tips of their wings and tail feathers are black. If you look closely, you can observe that the patterns on the wingtips, back and abdomen are somewhat similar to the shape of flames, and there are 3 pairs of yellow stripes on the scissor-like tail feathers. But the most interesting, or the sharp claws and toes on the pair of bright yellow sturdy claws. The original background color should have been black, but now, there are layers of red patches that render it extremely bloody. This is very rare in the Kanto region, but it is the final evolution of one of the family birds, the small arrow hawk, which is no different from the bobo and the flamingo in the Carlos region. Loyal personality and very belligerent. The rare combination of fire-flying attributes not only makes it super maneuverable, but also makes up for the shortcomings of its own flight system. And the strength of the 2 fierce arrow eagles in front of them is also not to be underestimated. Arrow Eagle, Heavenly King Intermediate, Level 63, 0/100th Body of Fire. Arrow Eagle, Heavenly King Elementary, Level 62, 99 Wings of the Wind. Monty, 1, only entered the Heavenly King Intermediate rank for the first time, and the other was infinitely close to the Heavenly King Intermediate. Seriously, this strength is really good. But it is still too difficult to fight against the 3 sacred birds of the top of the sky, which is enough to compare with the champion elves. Not to mention, although the 3 groups of lightning birds, flaming birds, and frozen birds do not deal with each other, they are an excellent combination, and they can exert their power far beyond 1+1+1. I'm afraid it's hard to win for ordinary champion trainers. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Obviously, the strong old man named Ares who controls the 3 holy birds also knows this power. Because of this, he couldn't stop laughing wildly. Laughing and bending over, even laughing stomach hurts. You, ha, you still want to arrest me to eat the prison meal in the black prison. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect that Jun Shui, the captain of the Fire Falcon, of the dignified flying special team, is still a young man who can daydream. Girl, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Ares smiled and wiped away his tears, but his face suddenly changed, and he said savagely, catch me. You are also worthy. Don't say I control the 3 holy birds now. Even if I don't, do you think you can beat my 3 evil dragons with your 2 little flamingos, who are not yet at the middle level of the Heavenly King? Double-edged head hammer. This sudden instruction completely surprised everyone. Therefore, when the 3 evil dragons that sprang from the slanted ground easily penetrated the line of defense composed of the special forces. Roared Tilda. With a violent roar, he rushed to the front of Jun Shui. This blow is almost inevitable. And Ares's abacus is very good. Even if he can't succeed in one-hit kill, then he can take advantage of the 4 times the rock-type skill that restrains the fire-flying attribute. ACBH, the heavy damage will inevitably go to the 2 arrows of the protector eagle. Bai Zi's expression froze, just as he was about to order rescue. However, he found that the 3 holy birds above his head had already formed a Q in the shape of a pin in advance, and vaguely circled himself and the wind speed dog in place. After this moment of hesitation, it was too late to think about rescue. But neither Bai Zi nor Ares underestimated this battle-hardened, Fire Falcon, captain. Yan back. Hold on. Substitute. Feeling the tingling sense of crisis in the cerebral cortex and the strong wind galloping from the back of the head, Jun Shui rushed to the left front without the slightest hesitation, and shouted at the same time. The order was issued extremely quickly, and it was not specifically specified at all. But the 2 fiery arrow eagles acted quickly without any hesitation at all. Hey Tilda. One of them, a flaming arrow eagle, spread its wings and flowed all over its body. The whirlwind, like a propeller, made it come first, raised its claws, and directly pierced Jun Shui, who was about to fall to the ground. The back collar. This is using the preemptive feature of the Wings of Wind flying skill. Subsequently, the other, a flaming arrow eagle, folded its wings like an osprey thrown into a lake, and fell straight down. The fluorescent green energy shield lit up just before the head hammer of the 3 evil dragons. Slap, there is almost no obstacle, and it breaks with 1 blow. But the time they had bought was enough for the other flaming arrow eagle to fly away with Jun Shui. Indigo Tilda. The 3 evil dragons were instantly furious. The innate advantages made him unique in some skills, and the momentum was eliminated, but the deputy head on his arms was like a copper hammer. The combined attack is a double-edged head hammer with a double-peaked ear-piercing version followed by a single blow. This time, the body of the fierce arrow eagle was directly hammered into a bubble. Roar. But before the roars of the 3 evil dragons could be released, the angry voice of Ares suddenly came. What are you happy about? It's a fake. The 3 evil dragons suddenly became miserable. Look up. The fierce arrow eagle, which should have been hammered, flashed out from its side and flew into the sky. Roar. The 3 evil dragons roared angrily. But at the moment, Jun Shui, who was led by 2 eagles flying close to the ground, rushed straight into the encirclement of the 3 divine birds, grabbed Bai Zi's waist, and shouted in a hurry, "Boy, take out the Pokeball quickly. Take back your alienated wind speed dog." She had noticed this handsome young man with a very trendy appearance before. "The atmosphere is very good. But it's kind of silly. Can a normal trainer participate in a battle above the level of the king?" The other trainers, even her junior Junsha, left the vicinity with discernment, and he was the only one who stood there dumbfounded. "Is really not afraid of death. But don't say it. This, Tai Hanhan, looks so much like when she was young. So, from the bottom of my heart. Junsha Wei is actually full of admiration for this silly boy." Chapter 109, For the Salaried People. Is this also possible? For full order. But when she tugged, she found that roots rooted under this fool's feet. Can't move at all. Also, why does this feel a bit wrong? It's not like the feeling of being bare, shouldered tilde feeling. Could it be that I'm wearing gloves? Why? You silly boy, you really don't know what to be afraid of, do you? Although she was puzzled, Junsha Wei didn't just give up on Bai Zi and left the encirclement alone, with a tone of blame, but Ren turned over and stopped in front of Bai Zi. "Boy, I'm not joking with you. This person was a well-known rocket team leader and a trainer at the level of Heavenly Kings more than 10 years ago. Now, he has become stronger. He has also mastered the power of the 3 holy birds." Junsha Wei looked solemn. She continued. "After a while, I will take the initiative to attack to attract the attention of the other party, and you should take the opportunity to run. A pawn like you, he should not take the initiative to pursue and kill you." Hearing such words, Bai Zi's heart couldn't have been touched a little bit. That 3 evil dragons he has explored, it is the strength of the high-level King of Heaven, and has come a long way at this stage. 3 evil dragons. High-level King of Heaven, level 68. 8100ths, very close the top of the king, the peak. Face up. Even if it is 2 against 1, Junsha Wei will probably only be able to support her for a while at most. What's more, on the opponent's hand, there are not only the 3 evil dragons of the Heavenly King's level, but also 3 holy birds whose combat power is comparable to that of a champion. In this way, she was reluctant to deal with it, let alone confront it head-on. Really hit. It was almost a mortal situation. There is no difference between rushing up and dying. Bai Zaren, no, stopped chuckling, and all along, he actually had a slight, almost invisible sense of estrangement from this world. After all, he is a transmigrator. Foresight. He also has a system. Therefore, he always unconsciously regards other people as NPCs. Everything pays attention to the pros and cons, and the results are also considered. Perhaps. If it wasn't Xiao Huang who was kidnapped by Hunter Ji in the Viridian Forest, wouldn't he have taken the risk? Maybe, maybe not. But this time, the siege incident in the Golden City was not what he thought of at the first time. Instead, he took this opportunity to buckle the shit pot on Sakaji's head. Although it seems that there is something tricky about it now, this Nabesakagi has to be carried on his back. Yes. Speaking of which, the world is clearly not perfect. Betrayal. Conspiracy. Dark. However, there are still a lot of lovely elves and lovely people. Although I still don't intend to completely change my code of conduct. However, those who hold salaries for everyone, can't let them freeze to death in the wind and snow. Hey, I'm a little distressed. Speaking of, the Virgin, the Savior, or something, in fact, I really don't dare to be interested at all. The freckled boy wearing a cowboy hat walked out from behind Junsha Wei, and seemed to scratch his temples in distress. But when he changed the subject, there was an inexplicable meaning in his eyes, and he politely said, "Aris, right. I don't like it when others stand and talk to me like this, can you come down?" Fast speed. Then, suddenly ordered. Wu tilde. The wind speed dog also moved immediately upon hearing the sound, almost pulling out an afterimage in midair, turning it into an orange-red line of fire, and rushing straight in the direction of Ares. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. I knew that a guy who could briefly collide with a lightning bird could be a simple thing. Thanks to our dignified Fire Falcon team leader, he treated you as an ordinary rookie trainer. Flaming bird, shoot flames. Frozen bird, snowstorm. Lightning bird, 100,000 volts. Ares laughed loudly, holding a pitch black pokeball in his hand, flashing an ominous red light. Under his control, the three divine birds used different attribute skills almost at the same time. The flames were intertwined with the wind, snow, and lightning, and they turned into a mass of entangled light waves that exploded. The explosive shock wave it produces is quite shocking. Not only pushed away the wind speed dog that jumped. Even the three divine birds themselves fluttered their wings erratically, and under the gesture of Ares, they rose again into the sky. Ares looked surprised, as if he had found an interesting combination of skills. 0. Ask for flowers. When I was about to use Vizi's wind speed dog as a target to try a move. But found. The target of the wind speed dog is not himself. At this time. The wind speed dog that fell from midair suddenly exploded with a bang sound, turning into a cloud of smoke. Stupid. No, it's a shadow clone. After Ares recognized the skill, his pupils shrank for a while. He suddenly turned his head and looked aside. But I saw that the alienated wind speed dog had quietly approached his three evil dragons at this time, and the canine teeth with faint sparks were intertwined, biting fiercely on the necks of the three evil dragons. Boom boom. In an instant, a distorted light spot appeared on the wind speed dog's mouth, and the next second, an explosion, like flame rose from the wind speed dog's mouth, and black smoke with countless golden-orange flames was expelled from the gap between the canine teeth to both sides. Junyan. 0 distance. Bang tilde there was no screaming at all. After the wind speed dog released the black smoke and sparks of the mouth, the three-headed dragons whose eyes were all white softened to the ground. On the neck, the torn canine tooth wound has been cauterized and closed. However, the golden-orange flames surrounding the wound continued to cause damage to the three dragons that had lost their ability to fight. You commanded the wind speed dog to kill the three evil dragons of Ares in seconds, with a little gain, the battle experience plus 50, the wind speed dog's experience value has been improved to a certain extent, the speed of the dog, skill level plus 5, the shadow clone, body skill level plus 5, Junyan proficiency, experience plus 5. The system beeps together. And then, coaxing one by one, a layer of golden-orange flames suddenly ignited from the wind speed dog, like splashing oil, and the crackling layers rose several meters high. What's the matter? This is also possible. Seeing this scene, Ares couldn't take care of the three evil dragons for a while, and his eyes widened. Also, are you sure this is just a fire? Isn't it fueling the fire? P.S. Successfully added more. Today I added 4D, I feel like my bowl is broken. I will cross my waist tilde. And GT. And LT winking face, how many? Chapter 110. World Champion Yulongdu. Repeated tricks. For full order. Just when Ares was stunned by Vizi's wind speed dog, fueling, ignition. Bai Ziwei, slightly side head. To Jun Shui, who also widened her eyes and opened her mouth slightly, although it hurts a bit, I may not care about you in the next battle, so. Not finished. Bai Zi shrugged. But Jun Shui obviously understood the meaning. Although as a Heavenly King level trainer, Jun Shui has already stood in a position that can overlook most trainers, and can be said to be the best among trainers. But, against the three-headed dragons that were only killed by the wind speed dog, she could still barely play support and contain it. But in the face of the three divine birds that even such a powerful wind speed dog is facing the enemy. That's too far. The sudden change of identity made Jun Shui's mood a bit complicated, but as the captain of one of the three directly affiliated special teams in the alliance, the 323, should not lack the decision. Although she was a little worried about the safety of this young man, she also knew that there was a gap in strength between herself and Aries. Leave. Apart from making this young man tie his hands and feet, I'm afraid it won't help at all. Thinking of this, Jun Shui immediately pulled off the armband on her left shoulder and stuffed it into Bai Zi's hand, saying, "Boy, this is a positioning receiver. And the other end is in the hands of the 4 heavenly kings of the Alliance who came over. Her location is very close to the Golden City, at most, it is 10 or 20 minutes away. So, don't be in a hurry with him. Drag, go. Drag, go, we win." The voice of Jun Shui's words is definitely not small. Obviously, she deliberately let Aries hear it. And approaching 4 heavenly kings, especially, they are the 4 heavenly kings in the Kanto region, no one can ignore them. Not to mention Yulongdu, known as the invincible Longshidu, to be able to get such a name, in addition to the advocacy of the local Kanto and Yulong family, its own strength is also true. Since the suspension of the 8th World Championship, the Championship Cup, led by the Kanto League, can be said to be one of the most valuable events in recent years. And 3 years ago, in the first Championship Cup, the 27-year-old Longshidu overwhelmed the crowd, defeated all the new and old champions who participated in the competition that year, and won the World Championship, the best crown. Its strength is the undoubted peak champion trainer. Stand at the top of the pyramid. But such Yulongdu has not been able to completely overwhelm the other 4 heavenly kings for several consecutive years, and officially ascended the throne of the 4 heavenly kings champion in the Kanto region. So, the strength of the other 3 people can naturally be imagined. The 4 heavenly kings of Kanto. There isn't an easy one. Although this news is revealed, it will inevitably make Aries take precautions, and may even allow Aries, the culprit, to escape the roundup of the Alliance. But in the same way, it also limits Aries' strength from the side. The situation of this teenager will at least become safer. Remember, don't be impulsive. Finally, Jun Shui did not hesitate, whistled, grabbed the eagle's feet, and flew towards the chaotic city. Aries didn't mean to stop Jun Shui at all. At this time, he seemed to be more interested in Bai Zi. Look, these guys from the Alliance are just talking nicely, when they run away. But faster than anyone. How about you? You're a very good trainer, and I believe you'll be a smart person too. It's a pity to die here. Would you like to do things with me? I can promise you, become the leader of the new 3 disasters, under 1 person and above 10,000 people in my new rocket team. How? Aries' self-righteous hands spread out. Subsequently, before Bai Zi could respond, his expression changed again. Oh, yes, if you put your hope on the body of the 4 heavenly kings of Kanto who are coming, then you don't have to. Because. Aries grinned, corners, red mouth and white teeth face, full of sarcastic smile. Don't say 10 or 20 minutes, even if he or she waits until dawn, she may not be able to come over. Almost at the moment when his voice fell. Bai Zi's keen mental power seemed to sense an invisible wave in the air, spreading from the top of the sheer-roof building to all sides. And with the spread of this invisible wave, a slightly painful whimper sounded from his arms, and then he felt that Zoroha's body suddenly curled up and trembled. Even a little bit of evil factor oozes out from Bai Zi's chest. This is it. Bai Zi's pupils shrank, and he subconsciously used the power of Bai Zi to wrap Zoroha in, and at the same time, he immediately probed into Zoroha's condition. Race, Zoroha. Status, 4, affected by the high-frequency violent sound waves. The negative emotions are amplified, and the energy factor gradually produces a riot recovering. The violent sound waves. Bai Zi frowned, his feelings gradually calmed down, and his state quickly returned to the good, Zoroha 0. At the same time relax a little. In the middle of his eyes, a ray of thought flashed. Is this the spirit that wants to rely on the riot to intercept the 4 heavenly kings? It seems that the range of the violent sound wave release should be quite large. However, it seems that it is not suitable for high level. The elf influence is weak. Or, hardly any. Also, My power of Baizi seems to naturally restrain this kind of influence. Baizi's eyes swept across the wind speed dog who was unaware in the arena, and Zoroha, who felt the breath in his arms, had calmed down, and there was a thoughtful light in his eyes. And also, new rockets. Interesting, is the power of the old and new forces within the rockets conflicting. As his heart went back and forth, Baizi connected these messages one by one and kept them in his heart. Subsequently, he put his eyes on the arrogant Aries. I have to admit that you have done a lot of preparations, and the 4 heavenly kings may not be able to support them in time. But, in Baizi's eyes, there was a hint of arrogance. What made you have the illusion that I need the support of the 4 heavenly kings, and you are above me? Wind speed dog, burning flame shock. As Baizi snapped his fingers, a sudden burst of air rose from the back of Ares's head along with a scorching heat wave. Not good. Ariston, she was shocked, and out of the corner of the eye, the wind speed dog that had originally confronted the 3 divine birds disappeared like a bubble. This familiar scene made his eyes crack. And the heat wave that was already rushing at the back of his head made his expression completely distorted, and the fear of death also made him reveal his true shape, and he made a piercing scream like a woman. Frozen bird, lightning bird, flame bird. Quick, stop it for me now. Quote. P.S. I feel a little feverish and dizzy. Today's update may be a little slower. I am really sorry. Chapter 111. Stepping into the Sky. Destroying God. Awakening mark of the director, please complete. At this moment, along with Ares, who could no longer hear the tone, the word, it, was dragged out. Behind. Coaxing, the whole body is like a red lotus, wrapped in layers of heat waves, and all the twisted wind speed dogs that burned the air fell down like a long rainbow through the sun. Call, 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 call. The continuous sonic boom sounded, and there were magnificent sonic boom clouds floating in the sky in circles, trailing behind the wind speed dog. The body is like a javelin, rushing forward, like a meteor turbulent, completely smashing the air in the path, forming a vacuum channel that runs through, and the scorching flame renders it and turns it into a golden orange. Tianguangju. Hit down. The target, directed at Ares. Can't escape. There's no way to escape. That was the only thought that crossed Ares' mind after this situation. The golden orange flame beam that went straight to the heavens and the earth was so vast and majestic that the moment Ares faced it directly, his heart, spirit collapsed, and he no longer had any intention of resisting. Lee tilde, Lee tilde, Lee tilde. But at this critical juncture, the lightning bird and the flaming bird, whose minds have been completely eroded, have already arrived, like lightning rockets, one on the left and one on the right. It hit the top of the wind speed dog's shoulders. The frozen bird also fanned its wings rapidly, stood up, pointed its abdomen to the front, and at the same time caused the blizzard. It avoided the rear. The response of the 3 divine birds was not untimely. However, they are completely insane and uncommanded by their body and instinct to resist, and they can't stop the wind speed dog at all. Bang! The fast-falling wind speed dog hit the 2 divine birds directly, and there was almost no stalemate, and the wind speed dog directly pushed the lightning, electric bird and the flame bird into the blizzard. The steam from the big puffs rose up immediately, and was directly blown away by the strong wind that the wind speed dog rushed to bring. The next second, the wind speed dog pushing the 2 divine birds on both shoulders slammed into the belly of the frozen bird. There was a crackling sound of cracking bones. The white fluff nearby was also scorched black by the extreme high temperature. And then, boom! The turbulent golden orange shockwave will explode from the moment the 2 touch, and the powerful kinetic energy generated in the moment will include the flame bird and the lightning, electric bird resting on the shoulders. All the 3 divine birds inside were blasted away. Carrying Ares on the back of the frozen bird, he was pushed horizontally and broke through countless reinforced concrete walls along the way, and finally deeply embedded in a water room at the end of the street. The broken water hydrant pipe sprayed, and the billowing steam rose with it, and was cleared away in the icy current. 3 huddled, wrapped frozen birds, flaming birds, and lightning, electric birds are revealed. Hold on. Cough, cough, cough. Maybe it really was the scourge that stayed for 1,000 years. At the last moment, when the fear of death reached a critical point, Ares finally woke up. And even shouted the command. Hold on to your skills. A move that can resist most elf tricks. Although the 3 divine birds were almost half useless, Ares still relied on 3 layers to defend the shield and survived. Cough cough. Bang, pushing the frozen bird covering her body away, Ares looked gloomy, ashamed and annoyed in his heart. This kid doesn't look like a normal alliance trainer at all. Sneak attack, hit people directly. What kind of alliance trainer is this? It's simply more hyena than the hyenas of the bounty hunters. Ares cursed in his heart, looking at the 3 divine birds that fell to the ground with distressed faces. Although this is not his ultimate goal, but no matter what, it is a low-ranking legendary elves that are widely circulated in the Guandu area. Ordinary people, even the champions of the 4 heavenly kings, may not be able to have them. But now, these 3 divine birds, who can definitely push him to the championship level, are about to die. Well, when I get that one. Just a mere bird. Ares pointed the black pokeball with the letter R in his hand at the 3 holy birds with a painful face. Next second, this pokeball actually sent out 3 rays, and the red light flickered in it, completely containing these 3 divine birds. Sure enough, Baizi, who stretched out his hands vigorously and ran to the water room, immediately frowned upon seeing this scene. He was a little weird before. Why did the wind speed dog completely beat the 3 divine birds to the point where they lost their ability to fight, and there was no system sound? Now it seems that there is something tricky that he doesn't know, so that the system does not fully determine that the wind speed dog has defeated these 3 divine birds. Wind speed dog, use jet flame. Without even the slightest hesitation, Baizi decisively gave the attack order. Although I don't know what Ares wants to do, it's right to interrupt him. Immediately, He coaxed a scorching golden-orange flame to rise from the wind speed dog's mouth that followed, turned into a spiral fire column, and rushed towards Ares and the black pokeball in his hand. Ares's face turned pale for a while, but he knew that it was useless to avoid him, so this time he didn't go too far. But his legs were shaking a little bit. Fortunately, this time his luck is still good. Just before the pillar of fire was about to engulf him, the black elf ball in his hand automatically opened in a violent tremor, and a strange bird-shaped elf sprang out from it. The spiral fire column offsets it cleanly. It's as if destroyed. Call. Ha! The gust of wind generated by the flapping of the wings pushed through, and the surrounding walls collapsed suddenly, and the bricks and stones on the ground turned into ice chips, black ash, and charred lumps. The smoke screen dissipated. Woe tilde. The screeching sounds that overlapped like echoes rang out, and a strange bird spirit made up of a frozen bird, a flame bird, and a thunder bird appeared in front of Baizi. Do not. It's not so much a fit, it's a splicing. The flame bird is in the middle, and the freezing bird and the light bird are spliced on the left and right of the flame bird, forming a body consisting of 3 chests and abdomens, and each part has a sharp claw. 3 wings, one of which belong to the frozen bird, and the other of which belong to the electric bird. Both wings were covered with a layer of fire feathers. Ice, fire, electricity. The 3 attributes are forcibly balanced in a weird posture, making the 3 dying divine birds merge into one, and push their strength to a higher level. Race. Unnamed 3 holy birds fusion. Attribute. Ice, fire, electricity, flying. Characteristic. 3 uses of 1 heart temporary. Skills that can use 3 attributes of electricity, ice, and fire at the same time, and produce the effect of fusion and amplification to a certain extent. Level. Champion Intermediate, level 73, 33/100. Potential. None. HP. Attack, defense, special forces, special defense, speed, close black lens bracket. Exclusive skill, 3 attribute attack. Skills: Freezing Beam, Blizzard, Absolute Zero. Jet Flame, Flame Vortex, Burnout. 100,000 volts, Thunder, Electromagnetic Gun. Status: On the verge of death, continuous consumption of life, hit. Law Comprehension, Consumed. Introduction. It was formed by the forcible fusion of 3 sacred birds that had been enslaved and controlled for a long time. As the price for acquiring powerful power, the cells in the body are in rapid collapse and decay, and may usher in disintegration at any time. Disintegration will also be the final moment of their lives. Special reminder. The process of cell collapse and decay is extremely painful, forcibly ending the life of the other party will also usher in the final disintegration. Baizi was silent for a moment, then he raised his head and stared deeply at the crazy, black eyes of the fusion of the 3 holy birds. His power of Baizi suddenly became very active at this moment. Come on. Vaguely. There seemed to be 3 distinct whines of pain in my ears. Long, violent, short. I see. Baizi muttered to himself. His awe-inspiring expression gradually climbed up his face. His eyes were like electricity, but he couldn't hear any joy or anger in his voice. Feng Speed Dog, let us send them to the end. Take a ride. Fast speed, searing blast, shock. Along with Baizi's stern shout, Fengsugo's eyes suddenly burst into flames, and in a trance, Baizi's gradually rendered azure eyes seemed to overlap with Fengsugo's flaming eyes. The cold azure disc is surrounded by red flames. And the next second, bang, boom. Swish one by one, the ground collapsed in an instant, and the figure of the wind speed dog also disappeared. Its whole body's hairs fluttered like flames, and its 4 feet stepped on the flames, galloping in the void and turning into a huge ball of fire. And in this fireball, Kacha, with layers of golden red energy armor attached to its shoulders, neck, 4 feet and dog head, the wind speed dog with half-armored armor is like a god dog with the sun on its back. The heat is rolling and space is warping. It seems that everything around it will be ignited by its scorching flames. And in that instant, Baizi's consciousness and Feng Sugo's consciousness seem to be interwoven across space. An unprecedented spiritual connection is established between the two. At this moment, the howling wind was transmitted to Baizi's mind through the wind speed dog's senses. A faint smile appeared on its face, Sheng and Baizi's face at the same time. And in the next second, 2 red and blue entangled electric lights overflowed from the coincident pupils to the sides of the corners of the eyes. Fast, burning shock, strike, bang, the flames around him turned into a scorching white wind speed dog, and at the extreme speed of crossing the space, a scorching white light and shadow were drawn, from bottom to top, ruthlessly hit the fusion body of the 3 holy birds, Ru 323. On the soft abdomen. Afterwards, the devastating blow directly lifted the fusion body of the 3 holy birds, and through the turbulent scorching shock wave, it continuously pushed and burned the body of the fusion body of the 3 holy birds. Take it to the sky. Woe tilde tilde tilde. In the mournful overlapping screams, the 3 holy bird fusion body, who felt threatened by death, struggled with instinct. The sharp claws fluttered, the wings slashed like steel blades, and the 3 beaks continued to release the 3 series mixed ultimate move while pecking. Absolute Zero. Electromagnetic Gun. Burnout. 3 attribute attack. The wind speed dog gritted his teeth, and stubbornly chased and bit the fusion of the 3 holy birds. Break through obstacles with the most courageous attitude. The condensed dagger, sized scorching shock wave ruthlessly nailed it into the core of the fusion of the 3 holy birds. Click, a soft sound. The tiny shock wave instantly soared, turning into a scorching white beam of light that penetrated the sky and the earth, completely piercing the belly and back of this divine bird, and the flames, lightning, electricity and solid ice were annihilated at the same time. On the verge of death, the frozen bird, the lightning bird, and the fire bird, which were divided into 3 parts from mid-air, returned to light. The dark eyes finally faded, and clarity was restored. After looking at Baizi's location with a little gratitude and relief, in the moonlight, it disappeared with the wind and turned to ashes. You commanded the wind speed dog to defeat the 3 holy birds and their final fusion. A little gain. Battle experience plus 120, spirit plus 3, wind speed dog level plus 1, divine speed, skill plus 3, burning flame, strike skill practice plus 3 close black lens bracket. Ding! You and the wind speed dog have reached a preliminary spiritual harmony. A little gain, spiritual power plus 2. Ding! Complete the achievement, destroying gods. Get rewards for attendance. Awakening mark, exclusive to wind speed dog. Ding! You have obtained the oath blessing of the life of the 3 holy birds, the innate friendliness of the 3 holy birds group plus 60%, and obtained a special title, Divine Bird Shelter. Open black lens bracket big chapter close black lens bracket. P.S. The degree is 38.1. I can't hold it anymore. The eyes written in this chapter suddenly darkened. I feel that something is wrong. Now go to the hospital to have a look. Never take a cold bath afterwards. Chapter 112, Authority. Secret. Call God Conk. For full order. Who tilde. With the sound of the system's prompt, a clear feeling suddenly surged into Baizi's mind. For a moment, Baizi exhaled slightly, raised his hand slightly, and the burning white flame rose, and it seemed to condense again. A little real. The increase of spiritual power will increase the strength of superpower, so will the increase of superpower also have the effect of increasing spiritual power. Baizi's eyes flashed with thoughts. The burning white thought power that appeared in the hand gradually extinguished. Immediately. Aiming at the stand of awakening mark on the system panel and the title of Sacred Bird Shelter, Mark of Staff Awakening, exclusive to wind speed dog, it can cause the elves to randomly awaken a divine authorization handle, which is the gateway to passport to the realm of God. Note 1. Authority is not repeatable, and both parties with the same authority are enemies of God. Close black lens bracket. Note 2. You can give up after awakening, and you will not be able to awaken again after giving up. Sacred Bird Protector. With this title, you will gain the innate favor of most bird elves. Yes, they are all good things, West. There was a smile on Baizi's face. Whether it was the power he obtained at random or the innate favor of the bird elves, he was very satisfied with the effects of these 2 rewards. Especially the stand of awakening mark. If the random authority is suitable enough, then the road for the wind speed dog to advance to the realm of the gods will be a smooth one. But the only thing that made him a little worried was what the remarks said, the non-repeatability of authority. Except for a very few phantom beasts, the divine beasts with authority are probably the second most authentic 3 divine birds on the Orange Islands. I am afraid that their strength will not be lower than the realm of the gods. If it's just a conflict with the authority of a 3rd-level god, it's okay to say that Marshadow in full strength should be able to withstand it. But if it is a 2nd-level god, it's directly the words of a 1st-level god. Thinking of this, Baizi's expression suddenly became condensed. If you are really unlucky and encounter such an existence, I am afraid that Marshadow will be completely unable to cover it. Unless. Let Marshadow help call the parents. Ho Wong in full form should be able to cover it, unless the wind speed dog is really lucky enough to directly awaken the authority of creation, or simply overlap with Ho Wong. If this is the case, then the only way is to give up. You can't give up eating because of choking. You really have to wait until the wind speed dog reaches the level of a 1st-level god or even a god of creation before awakening his authority, right? It's really that time. I am afraid it doesn't matter whether you wake up or not, the authority has long been unimportant. So, still have to try, the next. However, not now, Baizi pondered in his heart. And right now, bang one by one, with the sound of the heavy object falling to the ground, Ares was slapped by the wind speed dog and stepped on it with 1 foot. Ow tilde. Wei whispered, as if asking Baizi what to do with this person. At the same time, a slightly bright light rose from the surface of the wind speed dog. The flame, like phantom gradually disappeared, and the wind speed dog gradually exited from the hot sun mode and returned to its original appearance. No way. Nowadays, the blazing sun mode of the wind speed dog can only last for half an hour at most, and if it continues forcibly, it will damage the root. Apparently there is no need to use it on pretense. After all, besides Baizi, there is only one living person like Aries in the vicinity at this time. Don't kill me. Aries seems to be particularly keen on killing intent, and Baizi only revealed even a little bit of intention, and he was aware of it. I can tell you everything I know, everything. This is something that can change the world. The secret, really. Baizi lacks interest. Is there anyone in this world who knows more secrets than him? Besides, I have no interest in changing the world at all. Wind speed dog. After he finished speaking, Baizi was about to order Fengsugo to silence. But what Aries said next made him suddenly a little interested. No. The secret I know must be of interest to you. It is about the legend of the upper rank, the secret of the legendary group of the upper rank, Lugia. Lugia. Baizi waved his hand and created a wind speed dog with sparks rising in his mouth. Crouch down. He asked meaningfully. Let's talk about it, but I need to remind you that I am a superhuman. Lying, it won't work in my, If you have a lie, then take your password to the underworld. Understand? Understood. I must be honest. Aries nodded, but just as he was about to speak, he suddenly hesitated. Hesitantly, it is completely different from the arrogant look before. But Baizi didn't have many surprises. After all, he had seen Aries' ugly state under death threats before. Don't worry. Baizi glanced at Fang, understood it in seconds, and added with a chuckle, as long as you explain honestly, Fire Fist Ace, will definitely not hit you again. I will keep you. A dog's life. Wu tilde. But as soon as the words fell, the wind speed dog on the side suddenly whimpered with some dissatisfaction. Baizi was stunned for a moment, and slapped the wind speed dog's ankle with a twist. Inappropriate words and inappropriate words. It's a bad life. Using a dog's life is indeed too flattering. Aries heard the words, his face turned pale, the array of green and red is mixed. But he obviously didn't dare to refute, so he had to pretend he didn't hear it, honestly, like pouring beans, and began to explain the cause and effect of the incident. In short, it is the previous generation of forces headed by their older generation rocket cadres, the three disasters, who were dissatisfied with the power and resources in their hands being constantly reduced. So, decide to go it alone. And why they have such confidence? Except for the rocket's elite combat unit they have always held in their hands. It was Aries who inadvertently learned about the information about the divine tool used by the water people to summon and manipulate Lugia, open black lens bracket God summoning conch close black lens bracket. After years of searching and digging. Finally. Hard work pays off. Aries found the ruins of the ancient water people, and got half of it God calling conch. And the other half. After Aries continued the investigation unwilling to fail, he unexpectedly learned that this east-west was used as a special containment a few years ago and was stored in the secret No. 1 warehouse in Golden City. If Sakaji's mother was still in power before, as the leader of the three disasters, he was the leader of the three disasters, and he could not enter the secret warehouse of the rockets. But one emperor and one courtier. Today, they can hardly even see Sakaji's face, and they can't figure out where the door of No. 1 warehouse is. Want to go and get east, west. Just fearful delusional. It may even cause Sakaji's vigilance and eventually make wedding dresses for others. Therefore, Aries simply did not do either, rest. Directly pulled up the elite team of rockets who were family members and came to the Golden City. Afterwards, let one of the three disasters, designed to lead Lance away, and the other one will take advantage of the chaos to search for the location of the No. 1 warehouse, and he is responsible for creating chaos and muddying the water, so that the rockets know that one after the cut, there is no power to hunt them down. So it is. Baizi nodded, and then asked casually, "Is that all you need?" "Who knows? There's more." Aries shook when he heard the words, and with a distressed face, he took out a stone box and an electronic instrument in the shape of a pocket watch from his arms. This is the God calling conch. And this is the tracker for the location chip that I secretly installed on them." Aries lowered his eyebrows, and with extreme reluctance, lifted east, west and sent it to Baizi's eyes. Baizi raised his eyebrows, did not speak, stretched out his hand to take it, glanced at the tracker that looked like a pocket watch, and opened the stone box. In the stone box, a sapphire-like spiral conch lay quietly on a soft cloth. However, it only has the upper half, and the lower side is still missing an extension. This half of the conch looked like it was just an ordinary handicraft, but Baizi's spiritual power surpassed ordinary people 10 times, but he sensed the hidden and mysterious aura in it. The power of Baizi subconsciously surged. Didn't think so. The power of Baizi, who could only detect the attributes of elves in the past, actually reacted to this thing. But calling God conch part at %. Hash at hash. At %. Hash. Baizi. What the hell? Only the name was detected. Here it is, the rest are all garbled characters, okay. Is this thing beyond the scope of Baizeji's investigation? Baizi casually swept across the road. Completely fruitless. The power of Baizi has no way to react to these things. Never mind. Baizi raised his eyebrows and shoved Dong, Shi into his arms. The stone box disappeared immediately after touching his bare-chested upper body. Wu tilde, then, along with a twist, Zoroha in his arms let out a slight dissatisfaction. Baizi didn't care. After moving the stone box to the side, he stretched out his hand and picked up the tracker that looked like a pocket watch. Above, 2 striking red dots are constantly moving. One outside the city. The other one is in the southeast corner of the west of the city. While playing with it, Baizi asked casually, who are they? Huh. Aries was stunned for a moment, and after a moment of daze, he quickly replied, "Oh, the other 2 people in the 3 disasters, together with me." Tisk. After Baizi threw it up, he caught the pocket watch-like tracker, stuffed it into his shorts pocket, and gave Fengsudog a look. Huh. 2 groups of hot air spewed out of the wind-speed dog's nose and hit Aries on the back. When his face changed, he found that the giant claw on his back loosened and left him. Back. "You can go, and in the future, don't let me see you." Yes. Aries nodded again and again, without daring to delay for a moment, not even caring about the 3 evil dragons on the side. He even got up and ran away. The moment he turned his head, a sinister look flashed across his eyes. Ace. Wait, I won't let you go. Forehead. Poochie, a mouthful of blood suddenly spurted out of his mouth. The intense pain, stabbed, stimulated, made him stare at the heart, piercing pain. I saw a silver, white iron pillar running through the left chest, and on top of the golden triangular iron claw, a heart was crushed. Cough woo, you. With bloodshot eyes and a flushed face, Aries turned his head with the last bit of strength. What he saw was Baizi's slightly helpless forehead movements. Despicable, no. Before he could finish speaking, Ariston fell to the sky, and the iron dumbbells covered in blood suddenly flew out, shaking in place and shaking the flesh and blood on his body. Baizi's mouth twitched slightly. He was really helpless. Yes, he really didn't plan to let Aries go, but he didn't plan to let the iron dumbbell, a little guy who was just born, shoot it. He was originally going to give the wind speed dog a look, and let the wind speed dog give him a jet flame and burn him to death. But who knows? Just as he passed his gaze, the iron dumbbell around his waist rushed out of the pokeball. Without further ado, a metal claw plus hit the past, and directly pierced the unsuspecting Aries with a chilling heart, and his heart was flying. The dead old was aggrieved. Huh. The wind-speed dog with the black smoke rising from the side of the mouth corner is also a little helpless. If it hadn't reacted in time and swallowed the nearly condensed jet flame back into its mouth, I'm afraid that this little guy would at least be seriously injured even if he didn't follow the unlucky guy and was burned to slag by it. Terry tilde. But obviously Iron Dumbbell didn't know anything about it, and the little guy who finally threw away the bloodstains on his body rushed to Bai-Zi with an excited look. Although he was still not used to Bai-Zi's image, he still took credit for Bai-Zi by twisting left and twisting right. Well, you did a great job. But next time it's not allowed, you know. Bai-Zi reluctantly praised, and then, with a serious expression, he warned. But looking at the high-spirited good appearance of the iron dumbbells, Bai-Zi knew that the words probably only went into the left ear and came out of the right. Alas, yet another problem child. The deadly iron dumbbell. Bai-Zi shook his head and sighed. At the same time, he swiftly took out a towel from his backpack, and wiped the iron dumbbells carefully. The little guy shook it a few times. How could it be possible to completely clean up all the blood on his body? Moment. Shirasawa, who was completely cleaned, threw the red-stained white towel. Coaxing a small flame one by one, it spit out from the wind-speed dog's mouth, and burned the towel in the air. Then, without Bai-Zi's warning, it turned to look at Ares's discovery. But I saw that the three evil dragons had moved to Ares's side with their bodies at some point, and their bodies were circling around their master's body, and gradually they lost their breath. Seeing this scene, Bai-Zi was a little silent. For a moment, he shook his head and saw the wind-speed dog looking at him. After pondering for a while, he said, "It's time to burn and bury it. It's okay, sleep together." Fengsu dog nodded. Afterwards, a surging column of fire illuminated Bai-Zi's profile. And right now. The system's prompt sound came one by one. Your big needle bee killed Athena's dark crow. A little gain. Experience value +15. Double needle proficiency +1. High speed movement proficiency +1. Sword dance proficiency +1. Open black lens bracket. Dajong close black lens bracket. P.S. Windspeed Dogs Authority. Do you have any suggestions? The initial plan is to be similar to Flame, Light, and Flash Heat. I am a little tangled myself. @M. Chapter 113. Lance or Shinado. Everything in this world can be divided into two. At the same time. Located on the street near the entrance to the east of Golden City. PFF, the big needle bee pulled out the lance-like needle arm, blood spurted out, and the pupil of the dark crow that was nailed to the ground gradually expanded. He swallowed the last breath unwillingly. The death of the dark crow also announced the official appearance of the first exit of this brawl. Swish. The needle arm waved, and a splatter of blood drenched on the cracked asphalt road. The big needle bee fluttered its wings slightly and turned its attention to another opponent. The armored bird. Broken right foot. A broken stomach. The whole body of the armored bird is almost not intact. There are large and small cracks and potholes of different depths. These are all wounds that were hit and pierced by the opponent's torrential needle arm in the confrontation with the giant needle bee. Obviously, it has almost no resistance. But even so, when he noticed the indifferent sight of the giant needle bee, the armored bird still struggled to fully open its body, blocking another battlefield not far behind. There is where its owner is. The big needle bee was silent for a moment, and then, he crossed his arms and bowed his eyes slightly in the direction of the armored bird. Bai-Zi once said, "To give respect to a worthy opponent is to respect oneself." This sentence has always been in his heart. The armored bird's eyes flickered, and the respect of the opponent gave it a little relief to its desperate state of mind. But, as a spirit, it has already made its decision. In the loud screeching sound, a frantic airflow surged around the armored bird, and the twisted energy sword rose above its head, and then, it turned into a bloody fog that wrapped its entire body. Chew in the sound of piercing the 323 air, the armored bird covered in blood and flames rushed towards the direction of the big needle bee with an indomitable determination. The body body, in the rapid galloping and squeezing type energy operation, produces a little bit of shattering. But the eyes of the armored bird were painless. Bright. Even with a kind of longing, as if, recalling the scene when I first met the master. The big needlebee stood up in silence, and a layer of blue-green energy condensed into armor, turning into a dignified and steep spear. Hold high, in the next second. Straight up to meet up, go. Call. The sound of the symphony of gold and iron resounded instantly, and at the center of the contact between the big needlebee gauntlet and the armor bird's steel beak, it seemed that two invisible forces were rising and competing, bringing up bursts of black arcs. Flickering in the void, the thorns flashed one by one, and then the turbulent wind turned into a tornado that spread and rose, completely obscuring the two figures in between. On the other side of the street where the two spirits caught in a death battle were only a few hundred meters apart. Bang! The noble Lavender Shenato's hands were raised, and the Lavender Thought Force instantly became propped up. After blocking ABO Monster's dragon tail swipe, it instantly swelled and pushed it back. Hiss tilde. After landing, the ABO Monster swung up like a snake, guarding against sneak attacks from the other side, and continuing to look for opportunities to strike. Behind it, the ragged clothes and the red hair of the shawl were scattered, and Athena, who looked very embarrassed, was panting with a gloomy expression on her broken arm. In the corner of the light, after seeing the death of the dark crow, and the fighting posture of the armored bird. In the eyes, there was a slight pain that was invisible. Athena, don't be stubborn, just use your identity, it won't kill you, why let the elves fight for you? With the help of Natsy's superpower, Cerulean, who briefly evolved into Shenato, has an elegant body, and the words formed by her powerful mental power are transmitted through the air. Behind. Natsy, who was wrapped in the air by Youngjira's thoughts, was engrossed, and all the invisible spiritual connections were poured out. Let Shenaiduo have the power to suppress the opponent, Fang Na, the high-ranking ABO monster in a short period of time. However, such a high-intensity increase is a test for Natsy and Shenato himself. Fight to this point. Athena was indeed forced into a desperate situation, but they also couldn't last a few rounds. Therefore, the opportunity must be found and a quick fix. He pondered in his heart, but Shenato's expression did not show at all. After glancing at the direction of the great needlebee and the armor bird field. See, Athena is silent. Immediately, he continued with a playful look on his face. Look at it, using the sword dance booster like this, I'm afraid that after a while, it doesn't need the big needlebee to shoot, it will be able to do it on its own. Die in blood, pulse riot, disintegrate and die. What a tragic way to die, what do you think? Soft tone. It seems that the victory has been completely grasped, and it seems to be careless enough. Ha tilde. Athena suddenly sneered, little girl, you don't need to try it on me, play tricks and tricks, you are still far behind. Having said that. But Athena still couldn't help being in a trance for a moment, and the soul also endured. No, can't stop spread. Yes, if it goes on like this, the armored bird will not be able to hold it. Ellipsis. Shanaito, mouth, a tick. Conspiracy. She relies on strength. Behave in a spoiled manner. Hypnotism. The burgundy eyes of Zanaido, a little pink love light flashed, and at the same time, a layer of lavender aperture was faintly translucent. And at this moment, his tilde. The neighing sound of Aberdeen made Athena suddenly woke up. Not good. Her pupils shrank for a while, and while her body instinctively rushed backwards, she shouted loudly, ABO, use poison needles to cover and strike. This instruction of Athena is very clear and beautiful, but unfortunately, it is too late. The palms of Shenaiduo were pulled together, and the ordinary mind wave that she was playing with in her hand was suddenly stretched and condensed into a mind power spear. Swish, 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 while the spear danced. In the next second, Shinado had already bullied Abo Snake. The two small Rui held their hands in front and back. Body shape slightly bowed. Like a noble and dignified knight. Volley, gun, come backwards. The sound of sharp weapons piercing flesh and blood sounded. And the next second, the explosion sounded loudly. Bang! The substantive impact, the tip of the self-power spear exploded, turning into a bright beam of light, directly engulfing the Abo monster that was picked on the tip of the spear. Spiritual break. Change. Gun version. The terrifying spiritual power mixed with pure strong shocks turned into a spiral. The half-life that Abo monster was provoked didn't even have any room for resistance, and it was completely vaporized by it. And keep going. It brushed Athena almost by an inch, and slammed into the alloy fence at the entrance of the east gate built around the Golden City at the end of the street. Rumble, a powerful blow directly blew a large hole in the gold wall of this combination, and the smoke and dust spread all over the place for a while, and the thick smoke and dust spread to the entire street with the impact. Attack. Humph tilde. Humph tilde. After this powerful blow, Shinado and Natsu both groaned and disconnected from each other. At the same time, the body of Shinado also appeared with bursts of white light, and changed back to the form of Cerulean. Cerulean's figure swayed. But the next moment, a warm current spread from the wrist, slowly replenishing the nearly depleted super power factor and mental power in Cerulean's body. Cerulean lowered her head, looked at the bracelet that was slightly lit up in white light, and raised a sweet smile at the corner of her mouth. What's next? At this time, Natsu approached with Yonjira's support, and glanced in the direction of the smoke screen. My current mental strength is simply unable to perform such delicate operations as amnestics, and the task entrusted by Baizi may be a bit difficult. Trouble. It's easy. Shui Yi Cerulean's expression returned to cold, and with a wave of his hand, he swept away the smokescreen, revealing Athena lying at the corner of the street. At this time, the top of Athena's head was dripping with blood, which was swept up by the air wave caused by the mental shock, and the unfortunate impact on the wall was caused. At this moment, he was already in a coma. Baizi just said not to let Athena remember our identity. Then, Cerulean stretched out his hand, and the thought force that turned into a rope dragged the opponent towards him. Then, Sus' hand stretched forward and touched Athena's eyebrows. It's the same. The next second, substantial spiritual power rushed into Athena's mind recklessly. Suddenly broke out. Immediately, Athena, who was in a coma, twitched violently, and from time to time, she let out bursts of shrill screams, which made people shudder. Soon the screams and convulsions subsided. Athena was thrown on the ground by Cerulean. Even seeing this with Nazi's temperament, she couldn't bear. No, hold on for a while, her pupils tightened. Because she knew very well that Cerulean directly destroyed the consciousness of the other party with her powerful mental power. From then on, although Athena was still alive, the person Athena had actually disappeared from this world. Now. And then. Bang. A bloody figure was bombarded and smashed on Athena's side. It was the armored bird. At this time, its breath was almost gone, and its spirit was almost completely dissipated. R44, but the familiar breath still made it instinctively prop up the residual wings, trembling slightly, covering Athena's body. The big needlebee immediately flew over, looking at the already lifeless armored bird, and presented the warrior's etiquette. Okay, the next step is the last step. Throw her at the gate of the city patrol brigade and wait for Miss Junsha to receive it. We need to be faster. Baizi, we are still waiting for us. Cerulean's expression was indifferent. For her, everything in this world can only be divided into two kinds. Baizi, and other. Armored birds, loyalty is nothing but a stepping stone to hinder Baizi's will. Just move away. Everything else is irrelevant. P.S. Spirit Smash, an exclusive trick of Mewtwo, which materializes the magical wave of thought to attack the opponent, inflict physical damage, and cause secondary blasting impact damage. Chapter 114, Super Lucky Star. 7 Overlords. Kona, dilemma and confusion. Go back in time to a few minutes ago. Sheriff Building. Center Street. Your big needlebee killed Athena's dark crow. Slightly gained. Experience value +15. Double needle proficiency. Proficiency +1. High-speed movement proficiency. Proficiency +1. Sword dance proficiency. Proficiency +1. Close black lens bracket. Not long after I heard the good news from the big needlebee. Two more beeps, almost a few minutes apart, came again one by one. Your Cerulean killed Athena's aber snake by leaps and bounds. Slightly gained. EXP +20 × 5. Psychic power proficiency. Proficiency +1 × 5. Spiritual breakthrough proficiency. Proficiency +3 × 5. Close black lens bracket. Your big needlebee killed Athena's dark crow. Slightly gained. Experience value +15. Double needle proficiency. Proficiency +1. Gauntlet proficiency. Proficiency +1. Fatal needle. Stab proficiency. Proficiency +1. Close black lens bracket. It looks like the battle on Natsy's side is over. By Z's mouth raised a smile. Okay, iron dumbbells, you first. Huh. Just as Baizi was about to take out the iron dumbbells pokeball and put away the little family, when his arms swayed, he accidentally scratched a hard object in the pocket of his jacket. Baizi was a little puzzled. You know, there should be no east, west in the pocket of his shirt, right? With such doubts, Baizi immediately stretched out his hand and took out the round and hard object in his pocket that seemed to be wrapped in paper. Sure enough, the outside, wrapped in a layer of white paper. But after taking the white paper apart, the contents inside made Baizi stunned for a while. The sapphire-like material and the expanded surface shape of the lower half of the conch. This is clearly the other half of Calling God conch. Sure enough. Baizi took out the other half of the Calling God conch, the incisions of the two matched, and when they twisted slightly, they immediately became one with a click. The results of the investigation also confirmed this. Shen conch, complete, at $@ at %%. Asterisk $. #% at hash. At %. Close black lens bracket. The only pity is. Even so, Baizeji's power was still unable to find out all its information. It seems that it is not the result of the incompleteness of the item. Then, it is very likely that the problem lies in the ability of Baizi's power itself. Probably. Is it because of the lack of Baizi's power level? Baizi murmured, slightly guessing. Afterwards, he glanced at the white paper, and when he saw that there seemed to be several lines of graceful handwriting on it, he immediately raised his eyebrows slightly and spread it out. Thank you for saving the beauty twice. This thing is I found it in the secret room on the top floor of Shalufu Company. Although I don't know the function, it is worth a lot for the material alone. It's a reward for you. Close black lens bracket. Oh, by the way, here's a little tip. This thing can react with my silver feather. It may be an item related to the god of the sea, Lugia. Open black lens bracket at last. Close black lens bracket. I actually used my favorite earrings as a tail ring. You wait, I will definitely get them back next time. Oh me winking face. Oh, open black lens bracket. Blue. Close black lens bracket. This girl. After reading the signature at the end, Baizi was a little dumbfounded. Afterwards, he looked at the complete Calling God conch in his hand, shook his head and chuckled as he looked at it. The things that people can't find in the Golden City, you actually got it ahead of time so easily. Tisk tisk. This is the person who signed the evolution. Let's just call the thief. I'm afraid that the level of theft is no longer there. But when it comes to speaking, Xiaolan is really my lucky boy and invincible lucky star. That's right, when we meet, we have nothing to do but nothing to make up for. Oh, is there anything wrong with the person who sent the treasure? Tisk tilde. The corner of Baizi's mouth suddenly raised an inexplicable smile. I suddenly look forward to the next meeting. He said. He casually put the god-summoning conch into his backpack, then took out the pokeball, and put it away at the iron dumbbell that was competing with a broken tree on the side of the road. Only then did he frown slightly and set his eyes on the top of the Shiroof building. That direction is the invisible violent sound wave, the center point of the spread. Wind speed dog. Vizi greeted him, then turned over, leaned slightly, and patted the wind speed dog's thick temples. Go, take me to the top of that building. The next second, swish, with the sound of a gust of wind breaking, there was only a floating ash that rose up on the ground. And at the same time, located west of Golden City, next to Route 7, at the entrance to the forest. Ow, hu, ga. Various, painful and violent voices resounded here, and the swaying elves were constantly pounding against the wall of ice that was as solid as a rock. Insect type, grass type, water type, fire type, ground type, rock type, general type. These elves are very diverse. But regardless of the type, all of them were mixed with red eyes, constantly ramming, punching, and biting towards the ice wall. It seems that they have forgotten how to use their skills, and they are attacking wildly by instinct. In the sky, there are also a large number of bird sprites intending to leap over the ice wall. Bobo, BB Bird, BB Diao, Fierce Sparrow, Big Billy. This pair of ethnic groups that can be said to be feuding has completely put down their grudges at this moment, united the front, and moved towards the direction of the Golden City with the same goal. Meow hua hua, use hypnotic powder. Fire-breathing dragon, dragon claw. Water arrow turtle, tidal whirl. A row of trainers who had already been guarding under the ice wall immediately shot down and quickly shot down the flock of birds, and threw the pokeball with precision, put them in it, and threw them into the wooden basket behind them. The sound of hurried footsteps rang out, and a young lady Junsha stepped onto a high platform made of solid ice. On this ice platform where you can see the scene behind the ice wall, a slender woman with a cold temperament sat sideways on the back of a Laplace with an obvious cut on her chin, quietly watching the surging elves behind the ice wall. The long wine-red hair was simply gathered behind the head, hooped by an ice-shaped hair accessory, and pulled out a 21 supple ponytail. His face was cold, and he wore a pair of rimless glasses on the bridge of his nose. A pure black professional dress can't hide the exquisite body, material, plus the perfect curves, slender legs wrapped in translucent black silk. It has to be said that this is a stunning beauty who makes most men fall in love. However, for this one, beauty is just her embellishment, and she also has a status, identity, and strength beyond this beauty. One of the highest military representatives in the Kanto region. The current 4 heavenly kings. Known as the Ice Messenger. Master Kona. Miss Junsha rushed forward in 3 steps and made 2 steps, and reported anxiously, Master Kona, not only does the elf's rioting have no intention of stopping, but it is still growing. Go down, go, even if the trainers can hold on, I'm afraid the pokeballs will be exhausted first. And, not only that, we also detected that although the elves that produced Riot 1 were generally below the gym level, as time went on, some elves overlords in the depths of the forest had also changed. How can this be done? Oh. Kona looked calm, pushed the frame of the mirror in good condition, and said in a calm tone, don't worry, these elf overlords probably came over because of a problem with the weak among the descendants of the ethnic group. Ah. Junsha Wenyan's face turned pale. Well, if these elf overlords also riot. Don't worry, as long as the interests are clearly stated, they may still be our help. Kona comforted lightly. Road. But the wild elf overlord. Junsha's expression was ugly. I'm afraid it's not so easy to talk. Of course I know that. Kona turned his head and glanced at her, then looked into the distance, to the rear of the violent elf tide, that faintly rising several powerful breaths. The reason why I am still here is this. Because, I will let them be patient and listen to me. The tone was flat, even with a hint of laziness. But at this time, the extreme cold that spreads and rises from Kena's body is like an unsheathed blade, unstoppable. However, when this momentum was revealed, there was a flash of worry in the eyes of Kona's flat mirror. With her strength, even if she has only one main force on her hand, it is naturally easy to hold on to this line of defense and wait for the support of the alliance. But in the same way, this line of defense mainly formed by her also hindered her from going to support the Golden City. If they leave, they will inevitably break through the defense line under the impact of the wave of spirits. When it collapses, the villages and towns behind will be completely exposed to this violent wave of elves, and countless casualties will be foreseen. But if you were trapped here, she couldn't care less about the Golden City, which was in urgent need of support. It can be said that Kona is actually caught in a dilemma right now. But fortunately, the opportunity to temporarily break this predicament has finally arrived. These upcoming elf overlords are a crisis in the eyes of Junsha and the others, but in Kona's eyes, they are one by one that can temporarily get her out. Tool beasts. 0. Ask for flowers. Hope you are smart and obedient enough. Otherwise, I can only play hot. At this time, Kona looked at the few elf overlords who were gradually approaching, and in his eyes, there was a forest. Rumble, the sound of heavy footsteps came, and a huge giant iron-armored Tyrannosaurus Rex, with a body size of at least nearly 5 meters, broke the trees in front of him as if pushing through the grass. With a majestic step, he walked under the ice wall that was well above its head. Immediately after that, the two King Nito and Queen Nito came together from the left. Then, a giant statue of a statue with a wingspan of at least 7 or 8 meters flew over. With flying hair, the 9 tails, who had stepped onto the ice wall at some point in time, looked elegantly at Kona and the one she sat down on, Laplace. With a naive expression, the swaying overlord flower unhurriedly walked along the channel opened up by the iron-armored Tyrannosaurus Rex. And came at the end. It is a large army of at least 100 small fire horses and flaming horses with a family and a mouth. And at the forefront of this huge group of troops, the only rare, flashing flame horse, burning with blue flames seemed to be, filled with, full of anger. Once out. Then he looked up to the sky and hissed. Layers of blue flames covered it completely, the front hooves kicked on the ground, and the body bowed slightly to make a charge. Kona's eyes narrowed slightly, even she didn't expect that so many elf overlords would run out in one breath. I am afraid that all the elf overlords in the south, central and outer regions of the vibrant forest have been alerted. This time, I am afraid it is really difficult to handle. A total of 7 king-level overlords. The weakest King Nito and Queen Nito are almost from the beginning of the king to the middle rank of the king. The strongest 2. 1. It is a flashing flame horse that bursts into the peak of the king's peak. And another. It is not inferior to the sense of threat that gives her, and even the 9 tails that are vaguely more than the flashing flame horse. It shouldn't be at the championship level. Has it reached the limit of the king? Kona's expression condensed slightly. At this time, the whole body has been covered with flames, and the flashing flames have been completely covered, and the horse has stepped on it, and the charge has officially launched. It's an accumulating flame attack. Kona recognized this skill instantly. Then, with a cold expression, he said, Laplace, use water. At this moment, a warm force like washing the soul brushed from behind Kona. In an instant, these runaway elves, their scarlet appearance began to recede like a tide, and their movements became slow, until they completely stagnated, standing in place like sculptures. An unprecedented sense of peace of mind rose in the hearts of everyone, and the elves, and even Kona, a champion trainer with an extremely tough mind, could not bear to indulge in it. All the kings and overlords also froze in place, quietly savoring it. Squeak! The blazing flame horse stopped the car as if it was drifting, and after a long scorch mark was drawn on the ground, it made a big turn and ran back to the middle of the group. Surrounded by a small fire horse with the same blue flame, looked it up. Nervous, excited, and finally completely relieved. Soon, the breath gradually calmed down. And those elves who were still standing still came back to their senses gradually, and after looking around for a while, they all finally receded in 2s and 3s like a tide. However, all the elves, including the elves overlords, all remembered this warm atmosphere. Especially the flashing flame horse, it was deeply imprinted in my mind. In the end, Korna narrowed his eyes slightly, and looked at each other with Miss Juntia, who finally recovered. In his eyes, Gu revealed a daze. The crisis of the elf insurrection was solved in such a confused way. Also, that infinite warmth that seems to be able to soothe the soul, what the hell is going on? The direction seems to be from the Golden City. Kona's eyes narrowed slightly, and a ray of deep thought flashed through the eyes under the lens. Open black lens bracket big chapter close black lens bracket. Several. Chapter 115. By Z, who is targeted by the 3 legends, has 3 levels of crazy promotion. For full order. Time moves forward again. Just when Kona and the others were still imprisoned on Route 7, they were dealing with the wave of rioting elves coming south from the vibrant forest. Golden City, Center Street, Sheriff Building. Swish, swish, sitting on the back of the wind-speed dog, Bai Zi faced the strong wind, bowed slightly, and stared at the top of the dilapidated building that was approaching. He did not choose to go from the inside of the building, but relied on the strong paw force of the wind-speed dog to gallop on the surface of the building. Kacha, kacha, claws like hooks, penetrated into the wall, and flew up this vertical upward slope with strength and vigor. It didn't take long. Swish, step. In the next jump, the wind-speed dog rushed to the top floor of the building that was completely open, and Bai Zi rolled over and landed on the ground covered with scorch marks. The entrance is a rather spacious laboratory-type hall. Quite a few rocket researchers in rocket uniforms were hustling around an odd instrument in the middle of the hall. The overall shape of the instrument resembles a pair of sonic dragon ears, connected to a sonic boom-like machine at the rear. At the same time, the bases of the 2 are connected to a translucent pipe, in which the electric light bursts, and the substantive electric current continuously emerges and supplements, supplying this strange machine combination. Bai Zi's sudden intrusion naturally alarmed the researchers of the rocket team. One of the rockets, who seemed to be the leader, touched his back and asked loudly, "Stop. Who are you?" Obviously all the passages leading to the top floor have been blocked, and the other party did not ride a flying elf, just a wind-speed dog. How did he climb up to the top laboratory of the Shiroof building, which is hundreds of meters high? Is this the thing that makes the sound waves that make the elves go berserk? Bai Zi frowned slightly, completely ignoring the rockets in front of him, and walked towards the console with a stern attitude. "You bastard!" The rockets who led the 323 look turned black, and the Pokeball in their hands had already been taken out. At the same time, several members of Team Rocket who were in charge of the guarding work also took out their weapons and surrounded Bai Zi. Their elves have not yet reached the level of being able to resist sound waves, so naturally there is no way to release them against the enemy. But obviously, how could the wind-speed dog let these miscellaneous soldiers disturb their master? Woo tilde. A low, deep roar sounded, and the next second, the orange, yellow streamer seemed to turn into a shadow line, galloping past at a speed that was unseen by the naked eye. Kacha, kacha, in less than half a second, with the crisp sound of bone cracks, all the rocket's members were piled up to the corner of the room, their chests and abdomen collapsed, their necks bent, obviously they couldn't die any longer. And until now. Pa-da-da, Bululu, the sound of the Pokeball being taken out by the leading rockets fell to the ground, and it was long overdue. At this moment, after taking a brief look at the mechanical structure, Bai Zi began to become proficient in clicking on the operating platform. He has some hacking skills himself, and he has also consulted and practiced the world at the Damu Research Institute a few months before departure. With the learning ability brought by God rewards for diligence, even if he fails to form skills, he can still complete basic electronic operations and mechanical operations. According to Dr. Ogi, his level is enough to work as an assistant in any first-class research institute, and more than enough. It didn't take long for Bai Zi to basically figure out the operation mode of this strange instrument. The generation of sound waves is mainly based on the machine that looks like a sound-popping monster. The high-frequency sound waves caused by it can make the energy factors in the elf body agitate, and then erode consciousness and cause rage. As for the other two groups, among them, the lower platform is the power supply system of the whole instrument. And the instrument, like the sonic dragon bat ear, is an energy diffusion device. The reason why the violent sound wave can spread to the whole city, and even continue to spread to further directions, is achieved by the function of this machine. Windspeed dog, use, wait. After downloading the information about the violent sound wave and the energy diffusion device, Baizi was about to order the Windspeed dog to destroy the device directly, but suddenly a flash of inspiration occurred. Speaking, my power of Baizi seems to have completely overcome the influence of this violent sound wave on the elves. If you use an energy diffusion device, can it be spread throughout the city or even further? Baizi's eyes narrowed slightly. After a little pondering, he decided to give it a try. On the one hand, this is what he can do for these innocent elves who have been affected. On the other hand, if it is successful, using the power of Baizi on elves in such a wide range, under the reward of heaven, the feedback from the system will probably be an astronomical figure. Think here. Windspeed dog. Baizi immediately cut off the power supply line of the sonic device and motioned the Windspeed dog to move it aside. Afterwards, he stood behind the energy diffusing device with a slight exhale, and put his hands on the pair of bat ears. Baizi's power, activate. The invisible air flow surging directly broke through the illusion arranged by Zoroya, and lifted Baizi's silver-white broken hair, revealing his pair of crystal pupils that were almost rendered into a blue color. And with this windless wind, a pure force, wrapped in the warm breath of Baizi, spread out instantly. Centered on Sheriff Building. Spread to Center Street, the inner city, and encompass the whole city in a moment. Immediately afterwards, I came to the outside of the city, the outer suburbs, grasslands, lakes, forests, and even the sky stretched. In the city, hot, boom monkey. Amid the loud cries of the master below him, bow monkey, who was about to throw his fist down, suddenly froze, his expression gradually calmed down, and he was hugged by the trainer who was thrown at him, sobbing. Bang monkey, it's great, it's great. Pucha tilde. Outskirts, sizzle tilde. Boom tilde. Arbo snake and BB bird, who were entangled in one of the grasses, stopped each other's movements instantly, the poisonous fangs aimed at the neck slowly retracted, and the sharp claws that pierced the snake's eyes gradually loosened. Forest, way tilde. It was forcibly suppressed by several flaming horses, and the strange, colored little flaming horse, which was struggling wildly, suddenly stopped moving, and the grim expression receded, and tilted its head with a cute face, a little confused. Understand why uncles and aunts restrict it. Just as he was about to feel wronged, suddenly, he found that his always dignified father rushed to his side with an expression of infinite sobriety and ecstasy. Running around him constantly, just like it used to be around his father. Like a child. Such a thought suddenly appeared in Xiao Huoma's heart. Where this power passed, the negative emotions in the hearts of all elves were smoothed out, just as the soul was wrapped and washed by infinite warm power. The effects of the violent sound waves were instantly dissipated into the invisible. Even the unaffected humans and elves did not indulge in it, giving birth to a transparent feeling of being cleansed physically and mentally. And not only that. The conduction of this power is surprisingly good. The scope of the outbreak far exceeded the previous violent sound waves, almost including more than a dozen large and small towns such as Yuhong, Wallen, Deadleaf, and Aster around the Golden City. Among them, it also includes the core area of part of the permanent forest, the inner bay to the southeast of the Golden City, and the mystery of the sky above. At the same time, in the depths of the Viking forest, a petite elf wandering around suddenly stopped in the air, as if he felt something, tilted his head, and let out an excited cry, meow tilde. Located in the southeast corner of Jinwang City, it is an inland sea bay enclosed in a triangle by the three cities of Yuhong, Jinwang, and Dead Leaves. On a reef. Wu tilde. A pure, white and petite winged elf seemed to feel a little confused, half, lying on the water surface, looked up to see that the breath conduction was put down, and tilted her head softly and let out a childish cry. It has a mask-like exoskeleton surrounded by its eye sockets, light blue belly, dark blue bone armor and tail spines on its back and tail. The overall image is also very handsome. However, this little guy seems to have just been born, with a body length of only about 20 centimeters, and a wingspan of only about 50 centimeters. From the looks of it, only soft and cute are left. The little guy seems a little tired. After lying down for a while, he stared at the sea behind him tangled, and followed the direction of his breath for a long time. Finally, slightly puffed out his cheeks, snorted into the water, and swam towards the inland direction of the bay. Stratus on, above. The black dragon with scabs and scars all over her body was lying on a floating stone island in the sky. The jade-like green light was constantly surging and washing over the whole body. But it is still difficult to dispel the flame of nirvana that is like a gangrene attached to the bones. And right now, a power that warms the dragon's heart spread from below, and climbed the dragon's body with a dark and empty seat. The power of cleansing the soul made her look soothed instantly. Afterwards, this strange warm power seemed to rise steadily, and finally turned into a light curtain to completely envelop it. It was as if the substantive feeling swept through the whole body, causing the black fisher to endure, live a strange feeling. But before she could feel embarrassed, boom, the flame of nirvana shining with rainbow light seemed to have hit a nemesis, and it turned into a bubble in an instant and dissipated into the air. After a while, the breath dissipated. The black split empty seat slowly opened his eyes, and a strange look flashed in the red eyes. Long silence. She remembered this breath deeply in her mind, and lowered her dragon eyes slowly. Soon, Ying-Ying's green glow rose again. The breath gradually condensed and stabilized. The injury on the body surface also healed quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. 0 at this moment. Golden City. The top floor of Sheriff Building. The power of Baizi in Baizi's body is still constantly pouring out and spreading. His forehead was covered with sweat, and his silver-white hair was wet and clinging to his cheeks and forehead. The body trembled slightly. Eyes closed. Junie is not inferior to the faces of the readers, and the faces of the gentlemen are very painful. And the reason for everything is that he is extremely exhausted of physical strength and spirit and continues to release the power of Baizi. Not that he couldn't stop. Mainly, he is feeling now, pain and joy, happy. Mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, energy depletion. This feeling of being completely hollowed out of the body is really unpleasant. But on the other hand, this crazy level of happiness is really addicting. You use the power of Baizi to appease and influence the Huo, Bao Monkey, slightly gained, experience value +5. You use the power of Baizi to appease and influence BB Bird, you have gained a little, experience value +3. You use the power of Baizi to appease the little fire horse, gain a little, experience +2. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Your power of Baizi has been greatly improved, and you have gained a little, the power of exploration has been enhanced, and you have obtained the power of pacification to remove the influence of abnormal status. This little effort. The dense system notification sounds are almost to his ears, but the growth of Baizi's power in the body is almost visible to the naked eye. Originally it was no more than a stream. But now, in just over a minute, it has become the vastness of the rivers and lakes. Not only that. Your power of Baizi has increased by 1 rank, a little gain, and spirit +10. Your power of Baizi has increased by 1 rank, a little gain, and spirit +10. Your power of Baizi has increased by 1 rank, a little gain, and spirit +10. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Although the speed of improvement is slightly slower than the power of Baizi. But with the crazy growth of Baizi's power, the spiritual growth brought by it is also not to be underestimated. The magnitude of its increase. It has already exceeded the sum of the previous improvements. Now, it has already broken through the 500 mark, and is moving towards 600 points, steadily increasing. Then, with the continuous improvement and growth of spiritual power, the superpower that is completely linked to the value of mental power is also not to be outdone. At the same time as the spiritual power is improved, the simultaneous experience increase is carried out. Your mental strength has been steadily improved, with a slight gain. Superpower proficiency has been increased simultaneously, and experience gained +10. Your mental strength has been steadily improved, with a slight gain. Superpower proficiency has been increased simultaneously, and experience gained +10. Your mental strength has been steadily improved, with a slight gain. Superpower proficiency has been increased simultaneously, and experience gained +10. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Ding! The experience value has reached the upgrade condition. Your superpower skill has been upgraded from primary to intermediate, 210 1/1000ths, superpower concentration level +1. Trigger superpower skill. Telepathy then, accompanied by a burst sound, in a blink of an eye, by Z 1.7 feet S superpower has been upgraded to open black lens bracket intermediate, 510 1/1000ths, close black lens bracket level. And Baizi believes that if he persists for a while, he will definitely be able to improve to an advanced level in one breath. Good home, dude. This Baizi's power, mental value, and superpower directly form an upgrade chain. This crazy feeling of leveling, why did you make Baizi willing to give up easily? You know, the opportunity for him to level up like this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In the future, I think, if you want to do this, you can't let him build a machine that releases violent sound waves, and then direct and play it again, right? Not to mention that Baizi is not such a person. Even if he wanted to. The amount of money consumed to supply the power to run the machine alone is an astronomical figure, plus the equipment, materials, factories, laboratories, etc. required for manufacturing. Good guy, without billions of dollars, you let him take the lead to build it. However, as time passed, Baizi almost knew that he was about to reach his limit. If it continues, go. I am afraid that it will cause irreparable damage to his body and spirit. So, a few minutes later. Ding! The experience value has reached the upgrade condition. Your superpower skill has been upgraded from the primary level to the advanced level, 1010 5/1000ths. The superpower concentration level is +1. And the superpower skills are triggered. Instant movement, mind power shaping, accompanied by the system's prompt sound. Baizi suddenly relaxed, interrupting the release of Baizi's power. But then, the last message came from the system again, but suddenly, his expression froze. Open black lens bracket big chapter close black lens bracket. Chapter 116, Overreaching. The reaction of all parties. You are not ruthless enough. For full order. You use the power of Baizi to appease and eliminate the negative abnormal state of the black flash rift seat, and you have gained a lot. The power of Baizi has been improved, the power of exploration has been enhanced, the power of appeasement has been enhanced, and the power of purification has been enhanced. Lying down, trough. Baizetian's eyes widened. What's the situation? He healed the black flash rift seat. In the theatrical version, a series of 6 black flash crack empty seats. And many more. Black flash crack empty seat injured. Who can be injured in a string of 6 black flash cracking empty seats? Is it Arceus? Baizi, who didn't know that the black flashing rift seat was just beginning to show itself, fell into deep doubts for a while. The chaotic thoughts made his brain, which was already extremely tired from exhaustion, buzzed a little. Body shake. In the next second, Baizi, who was black in front of his eyes, fell to the sky. Baizi. An anxious and ethereal voice came, and then Baizi felt the back of his head leaning on a warm embrace. Ah, it's Cerulean. Wei looked up to the sky, and found that Baizi, who had come as a human, suddenly felt relieved, and then, a strong sense of sleepiness struck immediately. I'm a little sleepy, let us sleep for a while. Baizi did not resist, and soon fell into a deep slumber with a slight breathing sound. Sleep, sleep. With a gentle expression, Cerulean exerted a little strength, and with the blessing of psychic power, he hugged Baizi horizontally and placed it on a lavender psychic hotbed. In the eyes, the aperture of the halo yellow O2 is gradually disappearing. Is it really good to use hypnotism on your trainer? Natsi suddenly said coldly. Whoop Cerulean, why are you doing this? I need an explanation, tilde. The wind speed dog immediately cast his gaze, and after discovering the residual super energy factor, his body tensed, and his sharp eyes were fixed on Cerulean's body. Asked. Although Baizi's mental power is unexpectedly abundant, his mental exhaustion is very serious. Is it caused by the power that covered the whole city before? The experience is very bad, he needs to rest. Cerulean glanced at Nazi, frowned slightly, and finally explained. Anyway. As an elf, her approach is indeed somewhat arbitrary and arrogant. The wind speed dog frowned slightly, although it does not approve of such an arrogant approach, but after all, it is also for the good of Baizi, and since they are companions, they do not say more. On the other hand, Natsi obviously had no worries about the wind speed dog. Then he said bluntly in an indifferent tone, I will tell Baizi about this. As you like. Cerulean's brows wrinkled again, and after she said a word, she looked at the gradually rising fishmaw white in the sky, and said, It's almost dawn, let's find a place to rest for a while, wait for Baizi to wake up, and then set off. Bar. But before that. Saying that, Cerulean turned her head and pressed her free palm in the air. Boom! Under the crushing of invisible giant force, everything in this hall was crushed into pancakes. Early morning hours. With the entry of the Ice King, Kinna, the countdown to this major event that affected the Golden City and even several small towns around it. The members of Team Rocket were arrested. After being found, Dionysus, one of the 3 disasters, who intended to kill the net, was directly frozen. He and his leading gopher couldn't even make a move. Calm down. 10 o'clock. 2 hours after Kona entered the city, the chaos caused by the rockets finally came to an end. It's 10:30. In the office on the 2nd floor of the City Patrol Bureau. Kona is listening to the report from Jun Shui, the captain of the Fire Falcon. Wait. Hearing that halfway through, Kona's eyes suddenly lit up and interrupted. You mean that a young trainer stopped Ares, the leader of the 3 disasters, alone? Or Ares who holds the 3 holy birds? Yes. Jun Shui's expression was serious, and she answered with a straight face. I don't know his name, but he is very conspicuous, shirtless, with a cross tattoo of a white beard on his back, and the elf he is carrying is an alienated wind speed dog. Oh. Kona's eyes flashed a different kind of light, and for a moment, he asked again, what stage do you estimate his strength is at? At least the high-level King of Heaven. Even. Speaking of which, even Jun Shui was a little uncertain, but she finally gritted her teeth and said this inference. It may even be infinitely close, or... Let's just reach the championship field. Kona said directly. Yes. Interesting. The owner of that power, isn't it you? Kona pondered in his heart, but his face was calm, and said indifferently, okay, you can continue. Yes. Jun Shui nodded and continued. Based on the actions of this group of rockets, we can roughly infer what they are looking for. At the same time, Athena, one of the 4 generals of Team Rocket, was also found unconscious this morning and fainted at the gate of our City Patrol Brigade. Kona was silent, and no one knew about the 4 heavenly kings of the Kanto region under the shimmering mirrors. At this point, what are you thinking about? At the same time. Located in one of the small bases north of Golden City. PFF, Lance, one of the 4 generals, gritted his teeth and pulled out the knife arm that had penetrated deep into the shoulder socket, and stretched out his hand to push. Bang! The flying mantis, who was almost skinny in front of him, immediately fell on his back, and fell on a dead Mediterranean old man with round eyes that was also skinny. Lance's body shook. Crack tilde, crack tilde. Two fork bats covered with knife marks hurriedly flew over, holding him from left to right. Hey, cough, cough. In the end, I won. I can only say that you are not cruel enough. Looking at one of the 3 disasters, who had died, Lance forced an ugly smile on his face. After realizing that he was tricked, Lance decided to launch a sneak attack. Although the strength of the other party is above him. However, relying on the advantage of holding more elves, Lance used himself as a bait to find the opportunity to break the game. Finally, at the risk of being penetrated, he opened the battle and killed the Mediterranean old man who was a trainer first. Afterwards, he commanded 2 forked bats, and bit by bit, the flying mantis fell into a frenzy to death. Cough cough. Lance coughed again, and the blood from his mouth poured out like he didn't want money, and the 2 bats fluttered in fright. One of them, who was still very skilled, found a can of good wound medicine and handed it to Lance. Don't worry. Lance's eyes narrowed and he pushed the cross-hatched bat away, staggering to an operating platform. Disregarding the tearing of the wound and the blood flowing, he operated the communication device in 3 or 2 times, and contacted Team Rocket's headquarters. Soon, the back of a sofa chair appeared on the big screen. Boss. Even though he had already thought about his words, but only seeing the back of Sakagi, Lance swallowed a little nervously. Tell me, what's going on? Sakagi's voice was not heavy at all, but in Lance's ears, it sounded like a muffled thunder, making him instantly forget the remarks he had prepared before. He answered honestly, My subordinate was pulled away from the mountain by Tias, one of the 3 disasters. After he noticed it, he was introduced to the small base of number 135 besieged and killed. Do you know that the Golden City has been captured and destroyed by the rockets? What? Langston Chi's eyes widened. As the rockets' business for a long time, it was used to dump smuggled elves and illegally obtained substances. How could someone go to capture and destroy it? And many more. Lance's face turned pale with a flash of color. Yes, it's the 3 disasters. Not bad. Sakagi's voice still couldn't tell the anger, and they used the sharp weapon to destroy the Golden City, which is the 3 holy birds in Shiruf's laboratory under your temporary control, and the violent sound wave device. Lance's face turned even paler, and his body couldn't stop shaking. Pa-ta, pa-ta, the oozing cold sweat mixed with blood droplets hit the console, making him feeling dizzy. Athena was also defeated and thrown at the gate of the city patrol brigade. Squeak! Sakagi finally turned the rocking chair to reveal his face. There was no joy or anger on his face, and he said in an extremely flat voice, Lance, you leave immediately and go back to the headquarters to report on your work. Yes. At this time, Lance didn't dare to look up at all, and at the same time Nuo responded, his eyes turned madly. It is foreseeable that Sakagi will not let him go easily after he has stabbed such a big hole this time. So, do you want to run away? If he is far away from Guandu, with his strength, he should still be able to get along well, right? But... Oh, yes. Sakagi raised his head slightly, and while stroking the cat boss beside his legs, he focused his sullen eyes on Lance. Considering the current unstable situation, I deliberately recalled the 3 beastmen, and now they are a few. It should have arrived at your place. You should go back to the headquarters together. Quote. Whoosh. After speaking, Sakagi unilaterally cut off the communication video. And then, with the opening of the gate of the base, there are 0.8, 5, 6, 1 foot 0.9.7, 0.8, 2. There was a sound behind him. Lance, please stay safe. Lance's expression turned pale in an instant. Chapter 117. Miss Joy's appointment, good guy, and a rich woman. For full order. Noon. The cool breeze wakes up the sleeping Bai-Zi. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying under an ancient green tree, the mottled light and shadow lay through the lush branches and leaves. Squinting slightly, Baizi saw the giant stinger bee standing with closed eyes on the slender branches on the top of the tree at first glance. Its body is still, and its wings are gathered on the sides behind it. Just use the tail pin to point at the end of the branch. Such a small point of focus, but being able to stand up so stably without causing the branches to shake and break, is enough to see that the giant stinger now has a grasp of strength and balance. And your big stinger created the insect standing up cultivation method, which has a little gain: body balance +1, strength mastery, proficiency +1. Your big stinger created the insect standing up cultivation method, which has a little gain: body balance +1, strength mastery, proficiency +1. Your big needlebee created his own insect standing up cultivation method. He has gained a little: body balance +1, strength mastery, proficiency +1. Listening to the system prompt that suddenly sounded in the ear, Baizi smiled helplessly. This guy, the big stinger, is really a training madman. This pursuit of strength is beyond the reach of even myself as a trainer. Look back. Baizian, feeling the soft touch behind him, he didn't have to look back to know that it was the wind speed dog's body. Beside him, Cerulean and Nazi cuddled next to each other. And Zoroha shrank in his chest. Under the tree not far away, Laplace, who is rarely prostrate on the grass without water, is actually snuggling up with the iron dumbbell, and they are quite harmonious with each other. Feet. The tree's shadow, that was as deep as ink marks, suddenly shrank and became lighter as if faded, and retracted into the shadow under Baizi. Seeing this, Baizi's mouth suddenly evoked a war mark. So good. Baizi, are you awake? Woo tilde. Terry tilde. Sizzling beer. Just as Baizi got up, a kind of elf and Nazi were awakened in an instant, either fast or slow. They were all around, and they sobbed with nervous and concerned inquiries. Everyone. Looking at the group of elves surrounding him, Baizi suddenly stretched his arms and took them, including Nazi, into his arms. Dong dong, a small head stuck to Baizi's heart. Nazi, who listened to the clear heartbeat, was stunned for a moment, and then she secretly rubbed her mouth, the corner of her mouth curved in a subtle way. Radiance. Ellipsis. After lunch. Nazi told Baizi everything that happened after they parted ways with Baizebbing in a plain tone. Of course, this also includes the fact that Cerulean used hypnotism on him without authorization. This is not Nazi's intention to make a snitch. But in the elf world, it is quite taboo to use mind control skills on trainers without authorization. This kind of taboo, or it can be said to be taboo, is the influence of the squid that seized the country 100 years ago. 300 years ago. Located in the place of Carlos, the two countries, Makar and Zhu, who have been close to each other for generations, suddenly broke out a rather tragic war. The royal families of the two countries seem to have turned against each other overnight. Disregarding the war ban treaty signed and issued by the Elven Alliance that had been established at that time, it was used privately and frantically used weapons of mass destruction on the urban areas of both sides. For a time, the people on both sides and the elves living in the two countries suffered heavy casualties. This greatly angered the Elf Alliance. Therefore, under the Alliance's rapid assembly of a large number of high-level combat power, and the suppression of the riot was stopped neatly. But when they found the two royal families who caused the war, they found that the consciousness of these people had been severely damaged. And behind the scenes, it turned out to be just a squid king who only had the delusion that he wanted to destroy mankind and conquer the world. The occurrence of this incident can be said to have caused human beings to have great preparedness and hatred for super spirits. Even because of this, many human superpowers have been discriminated and isolated to a certain extent. Although in the next few hundred years, with the passage of time, and under the influence of today's peaceful environment, such precautions and grudges have been gradually forgotten by people. But using mind control skills on trainers without authorization is quite taboo. Is that so? Baizi's expression was a little stunned. No wonder his previous drowsiness came so suddenly. It turned out to be the hypnotism of Chirulian, a little girl. To be honest, he didn't have much grievances about it. However, when he noticed Cerulean's nervousness and the condensed concentration in the wind-speed dog's eyes. Pa, Baizi clapped his palms, and after calling his friends around, said softly, "Okay, then let's have a meeting on Chirulian's use of hypnotism on me." The voice fell, and a kind of elf suddenly looked at each other in dismay. Especially Chirulian, when facing Baizi, she was no longer the awe-inspiring and resolute before. Her palms folded together were twisting incessantly, and she was quite uneasy. Seeing this, Nazi, who was standing beside him, frowned, and said, "Baizi, although Chirulian has overstepped, she has a good starting point." Chirulian raised her head abruptly, somewhat surprised, looking at Nazi. Baizi was also stunned when he heard the words, and immediately felt a little dumbfounded. Seeing a group of elves seems to have to speak. He quickly stretched out his hand and pressed it down. All right, listen to me." Baizi's eyes circled around the elves, and then fell on Chirulian's body. "First of all, I want to say that I don't mean to blame you, Chiruli." "And, Baizi." A ray of surprise flashed in Chirulian's eyes. "When I was about to say something." Baizi's palm stood up, stopping her words. Facing the group of elves, he continued, "Although our encounters are different, each of you is my family to me. No matter what the circumstances are, I am willing to my life is entrusted to everyone, and I am willing to believe in each of you." Quote. "So, don't feel uneasy about it, and please believe in each of your partners, just as you would like to believe in me, as I would like to trust you. Of course, this kind of thing that goes directly beyond my will is not an example." With that said, Baizi stretched out his hand and chuckled. "Then, let's make a gentleman's agreement. Starting from today, the trust between us must not be shaken in any way." A group of elves looked at each other, their faces and uppers showed a knowing smile, and then they turned their eyes to Cerulean together. Apparently, they intended to give Chirulian the first contract. There was a faint mist in her eyes. Chirulian nodded heavily, and after nodding her thanks to the elves, she stretched out her slender hand and put it towards Baizi's palm. "But right now, Terry Tilda." With a cheer, the iron dumbbells got out of the middle of the wind-speed dog and Laplace with difficulty, and threw one into his arms. PFF Tilda. The huge force hit Baizi's mouth, the corner of his mouth twitched, and the moment he raised his palm, it happened to be perfectly staggered from Chirulian's little hand. "Miss. Open. ###. Chirulian's delicate little face turned black, and her forehead was straight, and she immediately made a move behind her. The lavender splendid thought force slammed into Baizi's arms and pulled out the iron dumbbells that were still twisting around. Chiru Tilda. Then, in a coquettish voice, like a spinning top, it spun wildly in the lavender hood. Terry Tilda." Hearing the miserable and confused scream of the iron dumbbell, Baizi, who was knocked to the ground, rubbed his chest, and rolled his eyes with patience. "This iron han is really stupid. What a memorable and warm atmosphere. Just mixed it up. Really." Baizi rolled his eyes, not knowing what to say. At this time, out of the corner of his light, he suddenly saw Nazi, who was far away from him, and when he noticed the obvious low air pressure on her body, he changed his mind and knew the reason. Immediately, he got up and walked towards the other side. Nazi was really stuck in her heart. She clearly cared about Baizi. She didn't have any malicious intent at all, she even helped to explain. But now, he made himself seem like an outsider. There is no difference from before, she is still alone. What are you thinking about? Suddenly, the warm touch of the palm of the hand came from the top of the head, and when he looked up, he was meeting Baizi's handsome face full of smiles. Pang. Looking at Nazi, whose expression is a little confused, she looks a little stupid and cute. Baizi couldn't help but his heart skipped a beat. He quickly rubbed Nazi's hair as if to cover it up, and then asked a little strangely, "Speaking of, Nazi, wasn't your hair green before? Why is it purple now? Isn't it? Natsy's long green hair seemed to have special effects before. It was foggy, and it also had some fluorescent sparkles, a gorgeous one. Not only are there no special effects now, but even the color has changed overnight. After you beat Athena, you still took the time to dye her hair. Baizi raised his eyebrows and laughed deliberately. But obviously, Natsy didn't have such a sense of humor, but responded very seriously. Seriously, this is the original color of my hair. It was affected by superpowers before, and now. As she said that, she glanced at Baizi. This influence has disappeared. Natsy's eyes were full of calm persistence, which made Baizi feel a little passive for a while. Damn, was he being teased by a little girl? But soon, he covered it up again. Go. He looked right. Slowly, he approached Natsy and said, "Thank you for what happened before." After saying that, he leaned up and lightly stamped on Natsy's forehead. Buzzing aside, Cherulian's face turned gloomy again, and she pressed her palms hard. The psychic mask, which was about to be relieved by the iron dumbbells, increased her speed by 1 step. Inside the visor, the iron dumbbell with one eye turned white, screamed in his heart, "Death or death. Murder. Master, please save me. You mean, Miss Joy from Golden City wants to see me." At this time, on the grass, Baizi, sitting cross-legged, took the pavilion owner's picture book handed over by Nazi, with a puzzled expression. To know. Today's Golden City can almost be said to be full of wounded. The Elf Center at this time, as one of the main medical locations, should be quite busy. At this time, he still finds time to meet him. Could it be that there is something more important than saving the wounded? With this kind of doubt, Baizi was not slow either. Soon, after a few operations, the location information sent by Miss Joy was confirmed. Not far from the center of the Elf, only a street across the Central Park. The specifics are not clear, but Miss Joy contacted me last night and asked me to tell you the news that you were leaving the Golden City. Is that so? Baizi rubbed his chin twice. Speaking of, come on. He had originally planned to rush to Lamperge City to find Ash as soon as possible. But who knows, people are not as good as heaven. As soon as they left the gym, they caught up with the siege incident of Team Rocket. Thinking of this, Bai Zarin sighed. Worth mentioning, it's already like this, and it will be later. Miss Joy's reputation can almost be trusted as an alliance currency in the elf world. Since so anxious, there must be something really important, right? Then I'll go see Joey first. Your words. Thinking like this, Baizi got up immediately, looked around, looked at this unfamiliar garden and pasture with some confusion, and asked, by the way, where is this? My house. Nazi replied lightly. For a moment, she seemed to feel a little inaccurate, and added, my backyard. Baizi's mouth twitched. I stared at Nazi with vacant eyes. Damn, another rich woman. Gong. Open black lens bracket big chapter close black lens bracket. Chapter 118. Interlaced time and space and memories, mutual agreement. For full order. At 1:45 p.m., after agreeing to meet Nazi, who was temporarily entangled by her parents, on the number 7 road in the west of the city. Baizi set off first and arrived at the destination 15 minutes before the appointed time with Miss Joy. Near a bench outside the green belt of the golden downtown park. However, Miss Joy had apparently arrived early too. Now she is sitting on the bench, little pink head, it seems that she may just sit and fall asleep at any time. Miss Joy, Miss Joy. Baizi stepped forward and shouted softly. After finding that there was no response, he increased the volume. Ah! Miss Joy straightened her body abruptly. Her slender body was unexpectedly very good, and the pink and white nurse uniform was immediately stretched quite tightly. Are you here? With a sleepy face, Miss Joy, who looked a little naive, looked over with sleepy eyes. After a long while, she explained with a pretty face blushing, well, I'm sorry, I just changed classes this morning. I hardly slept much last night, so. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Baizi shook his head, thought for a moment, pulled the diagonal backpack to the front, opened the zipper, and found a bottle of purple juice. After unscrewing, he didn't shy away from sitting on the side of the bench, and handed the glass bottle in his hand. This is the fruit juice I prepared by myself. It's sweet and sour, and it has a good refreshing effect. Try it. You're really considerate. It looks like you should be very popular with girls. Miss Joy blinked, and after taking it, she took a sip. Huh. Her eyes lit up, and she quickly drank it in small sips. After a while, the juice had bottomed out. Hiccup tilde 1. Miss Joey, who was full of water in one breath, endured, no, hiccups. After he reacted, his pretty face blushed. However, after feeling the consciousness that she has become extraordinarily clear now, Miss Joy's beautiful eyes flashed a strange light, and said with a coquettish smile, Mr. Baizi's craftsmanship is really worthless, and this effect. Your cultivator's 323 certification should not be low, right? I guess, at least level 6 or 7. The level of nurturing trainers is different from that of elf trainers. The comparison is based on data. 1 to 3 are primary nurturing teachers, 4 to 6 are intermediate nurturing teachers, 7 to 9 are senior nurturing teachers, 10, that is the current nurturing teacher at the highest level. Cultivating masters, there are no more than 5 people in the elf world, and even 1 in each region is not enough, which shows that it is precious. I'm disappointed, I haven't participated in the cultivator assessment of the Alliance certification. Baizi shrugged and said with a chuckle, in terms of level, you can count me as level 0. Quote. Miss Joey's eyes rolled over, but she endured. No, insisted. Nurturators can be said to be a very popular profession, and it is easy to expand to a network of contacts. Moreover, the Alliance also has a very generous reward mechanism. If you have time, you may wish to take the test. Good. Baizi responded warmly, and he has always been like this when it comes to the kindness of others. Of course, whether to do it or not is another matter. The two people chatted and the relationship between them got closer. Baizi took advantage of the situation to intervene and said, by the way, what is the matter with Miss Joy looking for me? To be honest, he really is. I'm very curious about the reason why Miss Joy is looking for him. It can't be because he has a crush on him. I want to call a son-in-law. Oh, that's right. Miss Joy suddenly slapped her face suddenly, and then said something that made Baizi's mouth twitch with a little mischievous expression. It's not complicated, to put it simply, it's for my family's sake. My child, call for a son-in-law. Baizi. When I type these question marks, it's not that I have a problem, it's that I think you have a problem. Is it really a son-in-law? No, why did you suddenly call your son-in-law? Did the Joey family call their son-in-law so suddenly? Wrong. No. I stroke first. Your children. Lying. Trough. Do you have kids? How old are your children when you call your husband? CC. To tell the truth, Baizi was a little confused, and his mind is still a little buzzing. Fortunately, Miss Joy's laughing voice immediately came. Okay, I won't joke with you, it's about the kid Geely egg. Geely egg. Baizi's expression quickly cleared, asked subconsciously. Yes. Seeing this, Miss Joy's delicate brows furrowed slightly, and she looked at Baizi as if she was looking at a scumbag. Don't you forget it. Ah. Baizi's expression is awkward, even if he has absolute memory ability. How complicated is the memory of 2 decades? There is no hint at all, and he doesn't know how to open this book of memories. Although it's been a few years since this incident, if the promise of a man cannot be fulfilled, it will be too bad. Miss Joy looked very serious. The beautiful eyes stared at the boy in front of him nervously. Although it's not impossible for her to give more hints, or even directly tell the answer. But if so, is the young man in front of him still worth the years of hard work, waiting and entrustment by Geely egg? Joey doesn't know. Agreement from a few years ago. In Baizi's mind, a picture suddenly slid across like lightning, and he murmured unconsciously, calling out a name, Xiao Fudan. He still remembers. Joy rose up on Joey Lian's pretty face. And at this moment, Baizi's mind finally recalled the auspicious eggs. Or rather, the memories of self and Xiao Fudan. Memories are like books being opened. Time, fixed at 5 years ago. That was when my memory had not yet awakened. My parents had just disappeared at work not long ago, and they have been silent since then. At only 10 years old, he was depressed and ran away alone in the Shaolai camp set up by Dr. Damu once. In a daze, I met Xiao Fudan, who was also lost because of being lost. Lucky tilde. Their unexpected encounter, first of all, started from a collision at a corner. Obviously, even if it is only a 10-year-old boy, his strength is still not comparable to that of a young lucky egg. Therefore, the boy was only shaking slightly, but Xiao Fudan directly dropped AP, share peer. Blue, lucky, wow. Pain covered the eyes of the young Xiao Fudan with water mist, and then he burst into tears for the first time. Ah, are you all right? Sorry. Good. The little boy hurriedly approached, hugged Xiao Fudan in his arms, beat the dust away, and then, following his mother's way, shook his arms and comforted him softly. Lucky, misty eyes, this is the first time Xiao Fudan can see the face of the little boy. The rare silver white hair and long and thick white eyelashes, the bright black pupils flicker with the crystal color of ACBH, the bridge of the nose is firm, the lips are red and the teeth are white. Although it is immature, it seems that it can already be seen. In the future, it will fascinate the capital of thousands of girls. By the way, my name is Baizi, what's your name? Lucky tilde, The little boy scratched his head, looked at Xiao Fudan, who was gesturing with short hands in his arms, and smirked. I forgot that I don't understand Elvish. However, I remember being in Dr. Big Wood's bookcase. I saw your message. Let me think about. The little boy was clearly in deep thought, and under Xiao Fudan's nervous gaze, his eyes suddenly lit up and said, That's right. You're a wine Pokemon, Xiao Fudan. Lucky tilde. Xiao Fudan also waved his hands happily, and then clapped very enthusiastically. He tilde. For the first time since the disappearance of his parents, the little boy showed a shallow smile. The picture kept going over and over, and the boy and Xiao Fudan quickly got to know each other. The two walked together. Although they couldn't find a way for a while, they didn't seem to have much urgency about it. Talking and laughing along the way, Xiao Fudan became more and more intimate with the young man, and the depression on the young man's face was healed and reduced little by little. However, danger in the forest is never lacking. In the process of picking a tree fruit, they accidentally hit it and angered a ferocious Kyrus big armor. In the middle of the forest, began a purposeless escape. After finally escaping that Kyrus, who only held grudges, the sky has gradually turned dark, and even the sky has gradually sprinkled a little raindrops. It's going to rain. Boom tilde boom, la, thunder and lightning flashes, and the torrential rain suddenly covered the entire land. Fortunately, the boy found a tree hole, and with the knowledge that flashed in his mind from time to time, he used a small wooden bow made of hay and sticks to successfully drill wood to make fire, dispelling the cold of EU. Lucky tilde. Okay, it's all right tilde. The little boy hugged the shivering little Fudan in his arms, and under the blushing firelight, he looked very warm. Soon, with the trembling of the grass outside the tree hole, green caterpillars, wonderful frog seeds, tail stand. Several petite elves looked at the warm tree hole under the firelight pitifully in the rain curtain, and their faces were hesitant. Come in, it's all right tilde. There was a smile on the boy's face, he moved his body a little, and waved. Several elves looked at each other, and soon, they were alert, and squeezed into this small cave. Man and elves, leaning on each other. Soon, they all fell asleep. In the early morning of the next day, Dr. Omu, who was covered in mud and took the fast dragon to search all night, and Miss Joy, the head nurse of the nursing center who happened to be there, saw it. It is the core and beautiful picture of this man and the elves. This child. Along with Dr. Damu's sigh, Baizi also opened his eyes. Xiaofudin, and even its evolved auspicious eggs and happy eggs, these specially designated medical elves are not allowed to be taken and raised privately. To get the cultivation permission, you must get the cultivation certificate issued by Miss Joy. Otherwise, once discovered, the Alliance will immediately take it back. And if you want to get this training certificate, all kinds of reviews and assessments are essential. But obviously, Baizi, who was only 10 years old at the time, did not and could not obtain such qualifications at all. What's more, the one who met Baizi was still a little lucky egg belonging to the nursing center. Therefore, the separation inevitably happened to Baizi and Xiaofudin. Compared to Xiaofudin crying pear blossoms with rain, Baizi showed surprising maturity. Come on, we've made an appointment. Pick you up. It's agreed, Tilda. The young man tried his best to hide the gradually rising cry, and with a firm look, he conveyed his thoughts to Happy Egg. Lucky Tilda. Xiaofudin burst into the arms of the little boy with tears, and sobbed for a while. Lift, raise, head. Deep, 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 keep the boy's face in mind. Then, it hooked its chubby short hand with the little finger of the young man. The agreement was made. P.S. The update is a bit late, but the chair suddenly broke, and I fell with my feet upside down. It's really unfortunate, sorry, 0TTO. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view picture. Chapter 119, Extreme Affinity. I'm back, Xiaofudin Tilda, please order all. So it is that so? Baizi's eyelashes trembled slightly. He didn't know when he had closed his eyes. At this time, he was slowly opening them, and there were waves in the middle of his eyes. He was completely able to experience the sincere emotion under this agreement. Because this is him. It's a contract made by myself who hasn't awakened my memory yet. Take me to find Xiaofudin. Baizi stood up simply. His eyes seemed to penetrate time and space and obstacles, reproducing the previous scene of auspicious eggs looking forward to the door of the elf center. No. The corner of his mouth suddenly raised a smile. Now, it should be called Gili Egg. It must have become a nurse, right? Of course. Joey Lien also got up, and said coquettishly, that child has always worked hard, always keeping the promise of a heartless man in his heart. Ha ha. Baizi fooled him with an embarrassing laugh, and Joey Lien didn't say much, and gave Baizi the coquettish white eyes he should have, and walked forward. Come with me. Looking at Miss Joy's slender back, Baizi touched the tip of his nose and quickly followed. Central Park is just across the street from the ferry center. Walk across a broken road full of potholes. Crossing another alley, the outline of the center of the elf is already in sight. Along the way, Baizi also gradually saw some trainers and elves coming and going, unlike when he walked all the way before. In the empty streets, apart from the scattered Alliance inspectors, no one else could be seen. However, most of these elves were painted on their bodies, and the trainers accompanying them looked very embarrassed. Obviously. Most of the previous rocket siege incidents were also affected. But the closer he got to the center of the elves, the more Baizi discovered the elves around him, and his attitude towards him was very different. With a gloomy temperament and always strong vigilance, Abersnake actively restrained his fangs when he approached, and curled up his bone wings, trying to show his innocence as much as possible. The character is violent, even worse after being injured. Even with a trainer by his side, he looks like a hot-blooded monkey who wants to find someone to fight to relieve his anger. The moment Baizi passed by, he calmed down and scratched his head. Scratching the back of his head, he revealed a simple and honest smile for the first time ever. Although this smile was a bit awkward, it still made its trainer, a short-haired girl in a training outfit, stunned. There are also BB Bird and Flamingo. This pair of natural enemies even disregarded the trainer who was chasing and blocking behind them. While dodging the released Pokeball to recover the light, they fought each other in midair. Just when an Alliance staff member next to him was about to stop it. Boom tilde. Ah tilde. Originally fighting and about to collide with each other, BB Bird and Ryukaku suddenly braked in midair almost at the same time after they sensed Baizi's approaching. The wings swiftly fanned to the left and right of Baizi. Whispered nicely. The way to make way for Baizi. Thank you very much. Baizi was a little stunned and thanked, and then walked between the two. Miss Joey, who was parked in front, opened her mouth and turned around with a stunned look, witnessing the scene of Baizi passing through the middle of Lie Sparrow and BB Bird. Lying, trough. The two trainers who had caught up with BB Bird and Fierce Sparrow said almost in unison. Really can't help but surprise them. Can you actually stop the fight between BB Bird and Lie K? You know, as trainers, there is nothing they can do. What kind of magic did this young man cast to be able to do such a thing? The two looked at each other. For a while, he forgot to take the opportunity to return BB Bird and Liqueur to the Pokeball. After Baizi has completely gone away. Boom tilde. Ow tilde. BB now and Lie K, who were still at peace in the first place, immediately collided with each other with murderous aura, just like Sichuan opera changed their faces. Ah, BB Bird. Lie K, stop it. The voices of two trainers, doubts and collapse came from behind. Baizi walked to Miss Joy's side, and when he saw Feng Yi looking up and down at himself, he immediately asked, "Why, do I have flowers on my face?" Flowers, there are no flowers. Joey Lien took advantage of the situation and aimed his gaze at Baizi Juni's face, and was about to make a few words of teasing, but after meeting those brilliant pupils like a star, he suddenly breathed, glanced with some guilty conscience and shook his head, half-hearted. After the sound, he adjusted his mood and said with a stern tone, "It's just that I didn't expect you to have this level of elf affinity. You know, try to stop the fight between BB and the Flamingo. This is something that even our great medical nurse Joey can't do." The great physician is the honorific title within the Joey family. It generally refers to the Joey people who are highly respected in status, and have great social contributions. And now the Joey family is a big medical nurse. It is one of the only 5 master-level cultivators left in the elf world. To be honest, Baizi himself felt a little too prestigious when comparing such a highly respected old man with himself. What's more, their own family knows their own affairs. 0. Asking for flowers has such a strong affinity for him that he seems to be carrying a charm buff. Now, Baizi guessed, it is probably because of the influence of the large-scale use of Baizi's power before. Elves are far more sensitive than humans. And why so? Maybe it was because he recognized his own breath. A ray of thought flashed in Baizi's eyes, and he didn't say anything more. He followed Miss Joy, who looked at her with more satisfied eyes, and continued to move forward. Soon, she stepped into the center of the elf. As soon as you enter. Baizi then saw the auspicious egg hiding behind the counter. Lucky tilde. The moment he saw him, he gave a sweet smile, and then, as if shy, hid behind the swivel chair that couldn't hide her round and lovely figure at all. God, he secretly looked at Baizi, but when he looked at each other, he hurriedly retracted his body. Baizi's heart was a little blocked, and his eyes were slightly sour. Before, he might have only thought that this auspicious egg was paying special attention and shyness to him. But now, after appreciating and integrating into that precious lost memory, Baizi realizes that what kind of shyness is this? The expectation in that God is almost so intense that it can't be opened. That shy look is clearly a kind of fear that he has forgotten its cowardice and escape. Breathe. Baizi blinked his sour eyes, swallowed the moistened water, inhaled deeply, and then spit out slowly. Then, he knelt down on one knee, opened his arms in the direction of the auspicious egg, tried his best to raise the slightly quivering corner of his mouth in a good-looking arc, and chuckled. Xiao Fuden, according to the agreement, I'm here to pick you up. Quote. Blue, lucky tilde. Gili Egg's short hand covered his mouth, and a mist of water gradually filled his eyes. Afterwards, it ran out from behind the counter with tears in its eyes as it did in the past, and threw it into the arms of the young man. Lucky, lucky tilde. Hearing this joyful cry, Baizi's expression slowly softened, hugging Gili Egg's chubby body, and whispering in a low voice, I'm back, Xiao Fuden. Welcome back, auspicious eggs. Quote. A few. Chapter 120. Rich Woman Joey, the Fist of the Second God. For full order. Clap Lala one by one, Da Na tilde. Wu tilde. Fu Yi Yi tilde. La Da. For a time, all the elves near the center of the elves gave their blessings and cheers, making the trainer who accompanied him was a little stunned. Then, in a daze, they followed the elves in twos and threes and applauded. Spirit Center. Backyard. Baizi and Gili Egg recognized each other again, and after expressing their heartfelt feelings to each other, the two of them cuddled under the shade of the trees in the backyard, enjoying the tranquility of their reunion. It didn't take long for Miss Joy to walk into the backyard with a pink tray. Rolled his eyes. Deliberately said in a sour tone, Humph, we grew up together, but now that we have a lover, I forgot my best friend, 3, 2, 3. After he finished speaking, he sighed with a teasing face. Lucky tilde. Gili Egg's face flushed instantly, and after getting out of her arms, she was about to cover Miss Joy's mouth. But obviously, without the use of skills, its round body cannot match the tall figure of Miss Joy. After playing around for a while, Baizi, under the leadership of Miss Joy, exchanged an vacant luxury ball, which was regarded as officially subduing the auspicious egg. Afterwards, Miss Joy handed the tray in her hand to Baizi, with reluctance in her eyes, and pretending to be relaxed. Take it, these things will be regarded as the dowry I have prepared for the child Gili Egg. Also, I have completed the declaration for your permanent cultivation qualification certificate for you. Joey added, in the future, you only need to go to the nearby elf center every 3 months to report and test the health of the auspicious eggs. Thank you. Baizi sincerely thanked him and took the pink tray with both hands. Open it up. On the left and the right are a book and a photo album, like east, west. This is a book about cultivating auspicious eggs and a complete set of auspicious egg skill CDs. I hope you can nurture this child well. Although she is not good at fighting, she is one of the best in the knowledge and skills of medical care workers. Quote. Speaking of which, Miss Joy pursed her lips. Afterwards, she waved a small fist at Baizi and threatened, I tell you, Gili Egg has a very powerful friend in our clan. If you hurt it, the end will be miserable. Speaking of this, Miss Joy suddenly looked positive. By the way, that friend of Gili Egg has been resentful towards you as a heartless man, for a long time. Although you don't look weak, but it's better to be careful. Okay, I see. Baizi nodded with a smile and responded warmly. However, he certainly wouldn't take Miss Joy's words seriously, not to mention that he wouldn't be able to hurt Gili Egg. Even if Gili Egg really has a very powerful friend who doesn't look good to him, is it possible that he can still fight with several elves that are comparable to the king-level combat power, a champion-level wind speed dog, and an explosive? Is it enough to fight against Marshado's own opponents of the Pinnacle 3 gods? It's impossible to think about it. Baizi set a flag for himself in his heart, and in the not-too-distant future, he almost tasted it, belonging to the fist of a second-level god. Of course. At this time he didn't know anything about it. After receiving Miss Joy's parting gift, I couldn't help but sigh. Why are the girls you meet all rich women? How much is the full set of Gili Egg Skills CD-ROM? No more, dare to say, but there are at least 5 to 60 skill CDs. To know. Gili Egg is an elves that can learn more than a dozen attribute moves. Among them, there are many powerful tricks such as Destruction of Death Light, and Ultimate Impact, Strike, which are rated as 150 in the Alliance assessment, as well as rare protective skills such as Light Wall and Mysterious Guardian, and even more so. Sandstorm, Rain Begging, Hailstorm, Sunny Day, such comprehensive weather tricks. You know, skill discs aren't cheap stuff. You have to say, Tapstick, Sleep Talk, and so on, a maximum of 40,000 to 50,000 yuan, or 100,000 yuan. But the ones above. Any one. You don't have 180,000, let alone take it down. It can be said that the total value of this set of skill CDs alone has reached more than 10 million level Alliance coins. And even, a lot of skills are still worthless. After all, if you want to make something like a skill CD, in addition to the necessary industrial technology, the minimum is also a patent that requires the assistance of a quasi-king spirit. Such an East-West Miss Joy in front of her said she would give it away without batting an eyelid. Rich lady, it's a stone hammer. Heart size 0. But Bai Zi put it away without any hesitation. Good thing, West, with these, he only needs to go to the friendly store to buy another shadow clone. Basically there is no shortage of skills. Remember to bring Geely Egg back to her parents' house to see it off in Tilda. At the gate of the elf center, Joey reluctantly waved at Bai Zi, trying his best to dilute the reluctance to part with a naughty tone. Of course. Bai Zi, who was sitting on the back of the wind speed dog, was stunned for a moment, and then responded with a solemn voice. Go away. Finally, he nodded to Miss Joy, and then he patted the wind speed dog's bushy temples. The wind speed dog suddenly jumped up, and under the attention of the trainer at the elf center and a group of elves, galloped past, and soon disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Huh. Standing for a long time, Joey Lien took his eyes back, wiped the corners of his eyes, exhaled lightly, and was about to turn around. Rumbling, booming, accompanied by the roar and vibration of the 1.7 ground, like a beast-like stamping sound. Joey turned back suddenly. Muscle knots, a giant beast shadow like an aqua-blue demon covered her entire body. And then, a petite, but very strong figure jumped from the top of the beast's head, and landed in front of the doorsteps in the center of the elf with a fierce face. Sister Love, where is that shameless man who cheated Fufu? Let him come out. I must let him taste my aunt, me, and Ah Shui's fist.